is coming off. Ha 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 ha. It ends tonight. It ends to fucking night. I'm so tired of reading this goddamn book. I want it done tonight. It's happening. I'm not stopping until it's done. Even if I'm a late. Because I hate everything about this and I want it to be over. I want it to be over. Can it please be over? Can it please be over? I'm so done. I'm so done with this stuff. Thank God. Thank God, this is the last stream. Thank God. Of this at least. Unless you guys meet goals. And then I'm absolutely fucked. But let's hope you don't do that, yeah? Ooh, cat drawing. Beautiful. Anyways, gotta put this on Twitter. Finish this fucking book. Link. Below. I hate every bit of this. I want it to be over. Okay. Here we go, guys. Here we fucking go. Last 90 pages. We're getting it done. It's happening. I want it to be over. Yes, almost done indeed. Oh my god, Key to Darkness. I want it to be over. Anyways, let's just get going because I want this to be done. We're with Jillian now. Jillian grimaced. Jameson's trunk swerved around left and right, staying on the offensive from those who would intrude upon them. Her purpose in the operation was to use her powers to counter Ignis Arachines. The cryogenic chamber served as a sort of shield. Is this not working? Yep. This is over and done. Yeah, this will be over and done with. Yep. Quite right. Unless no. Unless some of you guys wanna fuck with me and make me read another one. But we'll see if that actually happens. The cryogenic chamber served as a sort of shield for her and fueled her powers far beyond their usual capacity. There doesn't need to be a comma there, but even so, it was all so she could do. It was all she could do to. Why is there a so there? All she could do to maintain a reasonable temperature. I have a feeling that he writes this and doesn't even look at what he's written. That's my feeling on this. He doesn't even look. He doesn't even look. He doesn't even look. Good God. Should we advance, the elephant asked? Jillian considered. They were on the very back line of the offensive, the very first room in the castle. She had established a little fortress made of ice here. She had killed... You could put commas out of this. You could say, she had established a little fortress of ice here and killed any and all who had intruded upon this place. You don't have to... Oh my god, it doesn't have to be two different fucking paragraphs. Like and share the stream. Good god. She killed... Oh, the powers granted to be by freezing herself in the cryostasis... What is that? That doesn't make any sense. The cryostasis machine, coupled with the protection of the colonel, and led to this part of the castle quickly becoming secure. No, Jillian said, it is not our place. In many ways, it is not our fight. I simply want to protect my people, nothing more. Steady on, Jameson told her from under her. I rolled. Jillian glanced down at his trunk and nodded. Regardless of her reasons for being here, she was risking her life the same as everyone else. She tried to put her mind back on the battle. Jameson tapped the glass on its chamber once and then lowered his trunk back below. Before he could answer, the ceiling trembled. Jillian glanced up to see large cracks forming in the ice that cut off the ceiling from the rest of the room. Careful, Jameson said quietly. The enemy approaches. Jillian reinforced the ice with more ice. No fucking shit. What else is she going to reinforce it with? but she was at a disadvantage. Comma, fucker, comma. Put a comma there. Even when she was doing it, she could feel the creature on the other side, on the other hand, you mean the other side burning its way into the room. God, don't even look at this. You don't proofread your shit, do you? The ice all around her was melting. Jillian knew what was coming. The ice gave way, and a figure descended into the room with her. She was darker skinned and very beautiful. Jillian recognized her immediately. Oh, you like darker skinned women now? Okay. I roll. I thought that was you, Arcane said. Jillian felt her breath hitch at her throat. She could feel the temperature in the room jump 10 degrees. In spite of her best attempts in mitigating. That's it? That's it? Just 10 degrees? Jameson glared at her. Weak sauce. You must be Arcane, he said. I have heard a lot about you. Oh, it talks? Oh, it talks, Arcane said, giving him a glance. Are you familiar? I am Colonel Jameson of the Indianapolis. Ah, yes, I've heard of you. Arcane interrupted him. I take it you've come here to protect the zoo from us. The colonel raised his trunk towards her and stomped his foot. The whole room shook. Arcane did not seem particularly intimidated. She raised a finger and pointed at Jillian. You, Elson, will see your people destroyed. Ice spikes shot out of the ground towards her. Arcane stood there as, in a matter of seconds, the ice melted, then evaporated into nothing. I've trained myself to radiate temperatures higher than even the harshest of deserts. And then why did it only do 10 degrees in a jump? That's weak. That's fucking weak sauce. She said, water cannot even touch me. A pulse of heat emanated from her. Jameson let out a panting noise as his ears began to flap incessantly, desperately trying to cool himself off. Jillian wrapped a sheet of ice around his body to keep him cool, but almost immediately he began to melt. The only reason you can even survive in this environment is because of that thing, Arcane said, eyeing the cryogenic device thoughtfully. I wonder, how high of a temperature can it withstand? Jillian flinched. Calm yourself, Jillian, Jameson barked at her. You mustn't lose focus. Another pulse of heat emanated from Arcane. Jameson let out a gasp and shuddered. Jillian surrounded both of them with a massive sphere of ice. Temperature up. The blast of heat hit the barrier. Oh, is she calling out like an anime villain? I'm gonna call it my text temperature up. Falcon punch. Although the brunt of it did not impact them at all, they still felt uncomfortably warm. I mean, uncomfortably? Temperature up. Another blast hit them. The ice began to thin. Jillian quickly reinforced it. Jillian, yes? We have to try to fight her, he said. We cannot continue playing defense like this. Jillian grimaced and nodded. I have an idea, she said softly. Your trunk. You can make that one fucking paragraph. Oh my god. He raised it up towards her. Facing her, an entire slab of ice appeared, surrounding it completely. A blast of heat hit them, and it began to melt. Jameson began taking in the water into his body. I see, Jameson said. Very well. Jillian grimaced and allowed the fourth berry to be destroyed. Fourth berry to destroy the ice what? Of ice to be destroyed completely? Jameson charged, swinging his trunk wildly in front of him. Temperature up. Jameson staggered. He raised his trunk high and pressed it up against Arcane's chest. She smiled at him. The ice burst out of his trunk in a great sword, and Arcane screamed as the ice spike penetrated her entire body, destroying every one of her critical areas. She hung there limply in midair as Jillian let out a gasp of relief as the temperature in the room quickly began to drop. God, some of these people are fucking weak. Weak. Careful, Jameson warned her. You may freeze me to death. Oh, I'm sorry, Jillian apologized. She had to consciously dial back her natural urge to cool her environment and allow the room to cool naturally. Jameson tossed the body of Arcane aside and it slid against the wall into the floor. That's 2, Jameson said disparagingly. 7 more remaining. Our people won't have to worry about staying cool anymore, Jillian said. Hopefully this turns things around in our favor. She hesitated. Jameson? Yes. I'm glad you didn't die. He smiled. Me too. Hey! Don't die, Smack! Back to Solio. She done exposed Harman's writing process. I have. My guess is he does the Billy Cole method of spell check and editing. A competent writer would have said, the ice shattered like a pane of glass. Yes, you're correct. Anyways, we were trying to get through as much of this as quickly as possible. They had been fighting since the battle had begun. Soliel found herself matched up against the perfect Ignis Witch, a master of the Ignis Fire Fist, and one of the strongest women among the Ignis. Why won't you die? The woman in question cried. Why don't you just say her name? in frustration as she spun wildly around for her next attack. Soleil dodged a stony expression on her face as a flurry of Sinistra's punches. You said her name there, and kicks came at her. The fuck? Soleil kept her eyes on her, carefully watching where the flames from her propulsion points were coming from. Doing so allowed her to predict where each blow would be coming from. You mean B space coming from? Oh my fucking god, you're killing me, Harman. Are you reading my mind? Sinistra demanded as Soleil counterpunched, and you don't have to put a comma there, and caught her across the face. No, Soleil said truthfully. You're just not as strong as they say. Sinistra stacked backwards, her eyes rolling to the back of her head. Finally, Soleil sensed an opening. She drew a katana from her pouch and slashed forward. Sinistra let out a cry as she stumbled backwards, clutching her neck. Soleil had cut straight through it. Soleil lowered the blade and watched her as she struggled. Her skin and muscle reformed, reattaching her head to the rest of her body. Surviving a decapitation takes some skill, Soleil noted, as Sinistra's head settled itself back into place. But I think it's clear you are no match for me. Sinistra tilted her head to the right, and then to the left, making sure that it had been reattached correctly. What are you talking about? Sinistra asked. I'm going to fuck you up, and then make love to your husband. Oh my god. Cringe! I'm not going to die here. Oh, I'm not going to kill you, Sinistra said brightly. I'm going to make you watch. Soleil did not react. She simply stood there, at the ready. Sinistra's smile fading. In spite of her best efforts, she could not goad Soleil into making a mistake. Every one of her enemy's actions was smooth and calculated. She had flawlessly countered all of her best attacks while the battle continued around them. She had not yet been able to kill her, but surviving was all Sinistra had been able to do. Why are you bouncing back? Pick a main POV. Pick a main POV and stick with it. Holy shit. Soleil readied the sword and pointed it at her. Her eyes were fixed on her and focused. You could have just said fixed on her. A bead of sweat ran down Sinistra's face, and nothing she had tried had worked. Sinistra, a sliver of relief past her Sinistra, she turned her back to Soleil, smiling widely. Kimura! Soleil leapt up at her. Sinistra stood there, smiling widely as Kimura looked forward and with one move countered Soleil's sword strike with her own, Sinistra standing right in the middle. Never turn your back on the enemy, Kimura told her coldly. She twisted her wrist and sent Soleil tumbling backwards. She staggered, readying her weapon, and glared at the armored figure. I take it that you were one of the 9, Soleil said. She knew instantly that this was the warrior to be feared. Her own overwhelming strength made it difficult for all but the most powerful opponents to overpower her. Kimura pushed back Sinistra and faced Soleil. I am Ignis Kimura, she said through her helmet. The Lady Samurai, Soleil recalled. The strongest among the Ignis. She found herself feeling a new thrill of excitement. It's an honor to meet you. Leave us, Sinistra, Kimura commanded. This is a duel. You are needed elsewhere. But go. Sinistra looked reproachfully between them. We will settle this, Soleil, she said, and then she was gone. They faced each other. You mean they faced each other in silence? By they, you should have... you're terrible. You're so bad at this. I've been following your exploits, Kimura said quietly. Out of all the freemen, you've impressed me the most. Thank you, Soleil said quietly. But I dare say there are those among us that are my better. In battle? I think not. There are more important things than being strong, Soleil said. Only the strength of your sword matters, Kimura said in return. She raised her sword as well, and the two faced each other. Why can't you be more eloquent when you could just say she responded? Why do you have to say said, and then inquired, and then said, and then said, and then said? Can you just pick different terms? There are other synonyms for the shit. I pity you, Soleil said quietly. They charged towards each other, clashing again, but this time Soleil's sword shattered on impact. Her eyes widened as she backed away, Kimura unleashing blasts of fire bats at her. She leapt into the air to dodge the first, twisting to dodge the second. Fell flat on the ground to dodge the third, and then had to roll again, and had to roll on the ground, drawing the other sword as Kimura brought the blade down. Ha! She swung the sword around and clashed with Kimura's again. They met once more, and this time they held. They struggled for a brief few seconds. Soleil again found herself impressed by her strength, until Soleil's sword shattered. Again, Soleil found herself stepping back, but this time she drew another weapon, a large, sturdy club, and used it to block her strike. That will not work, Kimura said quietly when they clashed again. This blade is Japanese steel. Your weapons are like butter. Japanese steel can be bettered with force. It's not impenetrable. To emphasize her point, she adjusted the blade without even exerting much more force, cut right through her weapon. Soleil glowered. "You're an amazing swordsman," Kimura told her, as Soleil again took a step back. "But I can see that the quality of your weapons are holding you back. Here." She took the katana and tossed it up into the air. Soleil watched as it spun and then landed in the stone at her feet. Its hilt pointed right towards her, ready for the taking. "You would grant me a weapon," Soleil asked quietly. Rage began to well up in her. "You think so lowly of my ability." "I'm curious what you could do with a real weapon," Kimura said. "Please indulge me." Soleil took the katana in her grip and pulled it out of the stone. It was her, as her enemy said, the shining blade in her hand surpassed anything she had ever seen. "Oh my god, you're such weeb fucking trash, Harman." She brandished it in front of her and stared down at her opponent. Kimura smiled as Soleil charged. The blade slashed straight through Kimura's armor, cutting it to ribbons. Soleil brought the blade back up to hack the armor away, but she stopped him in motion. The armor was already reforging itself. "My armor, too, is of Japanese steel," Kimura said quietly, "and, what is more, I have learned to heat and mold it to my desires. The armor reforged itself into a flawless steel." Soleil stared at it. Her expression tightened. "You grasp the severity of your situation," Kimura said. "My armor cannot be cut by ordinary means. If it is, I can melt it. And what's more, something with actual clever prose, right? And to think he's got yet another book coming soon. I want to die. Yep, I've got that on the list of shit I have to react to on Saturday. Because guess what I gotta do? I gotta start reacting to his videos. Japanese steel is only good because of the forging techniques. Japan has very lousy steel. It's why they had to develop the technique. Yep. It's not impenetrable. It's really fucking not. She smashed her fist against her armor plating. "Even without this armor, I am better than you," she said. "You cannot beat me." Soleil took a step forward, "But I will still fight." She darted forward, and Kimura held out her hand, a vast warhammer appearing in it as she swung it down wildly. She swung it down at Soleil. "I could write this so much better." Yeah, I would not doubt Spectre could write something better than this. Soleil darted around, her gaze hardened. She landed on the top of the hammer and swung the blade right at her helmet. Kimura lifted the hammer back up, and she was thrown upward, the slash narrowly missing her head as Soleil twirled in midair. Kimura leapt upward with shocking speed and slammed the hammer into her. Soleil took the blow and crashed through the wall. She lay dazed as Kimura landed in front of her and advanced. "It's a shame," Kimura said. "A warrior such as yourself is only born once a generation." "Keep sucking her dick, god damn." She raised the hammer. And cut. Really? Really? Thank you for the 2. Ed Shadowbear. Get the alcohol, reading Harman on sober. No, I have to, unfortunately. Because it is a work night. I can't be drinking. And I probably can't be drinking until Sunday night, probably. Maybe. I don't know. Until Sunday afternoon, at least. That's the last of them. The girls from the women's shelter had piled the last of the bodies on top of the great pyre. Many of them had recognized names and faces that had defiled them or their loved ones over the past years. You mean recognize people? You could just say faces of people that defiled them or their loved ones over the last years. Why? You're so dumb. So no tears were shed, and that doesn't need to be a period, when Isabel stepped forward and lit the pyre on fire. "The cattle have been dealt with," Catherine said from behind her. "But what next?" "We wait," Isabel said quietly, "for Soleil and the others to come through." Minerva landed on top of the railway next to them. "Hey, you," she said brightly. "I have news from Jillian." The girls all crowded around her. "2 of the 9 have fallen," she said. "Ignis Yvette fell at the hands of Windsor Madeline, and Ignis Arkeen fell at the hands of Elson, Jillian, and Colonel." Nora the elephant wagged her ears enthusiastically. "My father destroyed one of the 9? She seemed positively delighted. "Currently, we're still trying to locate the others," Minerva went on. "And, unfortunately, Soleil Freeman is losing her battle against Ignis Kimura." There was a heavy silence around the circle. "What?" Isabel said. "But Soleil is losing, yes," Minerva said, sounding somewhat bored. "Kimura is more than a match for her, I'm afraid." What about the others?" Nora asked hesitantly. "My father could he come to her? The Colonel's role is to protect Jillian," Minerva said shortly. "It was Soleil's decision to take point." Isabel clenched her hand into a fist. She stared straight ahead, her mind whirling. "Soleil. Isabel?" Catherine was looking at her. "Are you okay?" Isabel breathed out, a black smoke protruding from her nose, and then she began to step away from the group. Catherine stared at her, completely taken aback as Isabel broke into a sprint. "Isabel, wait, where are you going?" Isabel did not turn around. Her gaze was fixed squarely in the distance, where she knew the castle lay waiting. Solier, I don't care what it takes. I will not allow you to die. Oh, you're so edgy. Oh, so edgy. Fucking kill me. Not really, YouTube. It's a joke. It's a joke. She coughed. Black liquid shot out of her mouth and into the grass at her feet. Master, she prayed, you granted me one wish. You would provide me with one thing that I desired, the one thing I desired most. I know now what I want more than anything. I will protect her. I will give up everything so she can live. I beg you, power, give me power. Fucking stupid. Rah! Here it is again, the T-Rex shit. Jillian looked up. The ice on the ceiling shattered as someone came barreling down through at her. Die, Sinistra screamed as she kicked at her cryogenic chamber. Jillian had no time to react. Her carefully placed binding snapped as the chamber tilted over and began to fall. Leave me, she snapped at Jameson as she turned to help her. We are in battle. She fell to the ground with a slam. A large crack formed on the side of her chamber. She couldn't see what was happening from this angle. She could see Jameson let out a trumpet, or hear, and then stomp his feet, and then a loud voice crying out, no you don't. There was a struggle, and then Jameson collapsed. Jillian grimaced as the figure advanced on her chamber. I'm not a fan of the cold, Sinistra said. She raised a leg and kicked the glass. The cracks deepened. Jillian lay there, her eyes on Jameson's body. Is he dead? She asked cautiously. Of course, Sinistra said. Then I don't have to hold back. The temperature around them dropped sharply to sub-zero. Intense blasts of ice shot towards Sinistra, intent on penetrating her. She stood there, looking bored, as the ice surrounded her and began to melt. Did you really think you could beat an Ignis witch like this? She asked contemptuously. It had worked on Arakeen, Jillian thought wryly. Not for the first time. She marveled at how lucky she had actually been to get the better of her. The heat emanating from the Ignis witch made her ice-based attacks unviable. Sinistra kicked out at the chamber again, and the glass shattered. Jillian let out a gasp, unable to handle the raw heat emanating from her enemy, as Sinistra dragged her out and held her aloft. Where the fuck is the punctuation, Harman? I don't think hell will be to your liking. Jillian let out a scream as her entire body caught flame. She writhed and kicked out at Sinistra, trying to break herself free. Sinistra grimaced as Jillian's foot connected squarely with her waist, but each successive kick became weaker and weaker until she was still. Stop, Sinistra turned, her grip still firmly on Jillian's neck, as the blonde girl stepped up to her, rifle in hand. Sinistra tossed the body aside and stepped forward. And you are? The girl raised and pointed the rifle at her. Isabel Carnell, she said breathlessly. She swayed back and forth and then said to herself, I've come to save Soliel. Soliel Freeman? Sinistra asked contemptuously. Surely she's dead by now. Ignis Kimura is the strongest out of all of us. Isabel's eyes darkened. The whites of her eyes were shifting into a hideous black. You look angry, Sinistra said quietly as she took a step forward towards her. Is it something I said? Isabel fired the rifle. Sinistra, with a bored expression on her face, raised her index finger and thumb and caught the bullet in midair. Soliel sucks, she said as she flicked the bullet back at her. The bullet slammed into Isabel's head, sending her head jerking backwards. Black blood began to spill out of her head in waves. It washed over her completely, covering her entire form, and began to harden into a crystal. Sinistra had already turned away from her attention set on finding another target. The bodies of her enemies lying behind her. She set off down the hall. Jillian is dead, Illinois said tonelessly. Jameson, too. American grit his teeth. The two of them had taken the car as far into the castle as they were able. The car, heavily armored and decked out in a number of firearms, was actually you don't need a comma there, was actually very effective in mowing down wave after wave of cultists. The castle, they had realized, had divided into a variety of sections, each controlled by one of the 9. We mustn't lose heart now, Illinois said. Not until all of our enemies are destroyed. She paused and turned sharply to look at American. We must no longer waste time on this fodder, she said. We must find and destroy the 9. If any one of them survives the assault, Ignis will be summoned. Illinois, hush. She turned her head upward. Kiara, she whispered. I can hear her voice. She opened the door of the car and stepped outside. I will fly to your side once I'm finished with her, she said. Please keep yourself safe. And you as well, American said. Illinois' lips turned upward into a small smile before she shot off into the air. Illinois was much faster in flight than she was on the ground. She shot through the air like the wind. There's a comma, dumbass. And that should be capitalized. She shot through the air like the wind itself, so quickly that she could not be seen by the enemy. She passed by several combat exchanges on her. Not around her? What? Not only between the freemen and the enemy, but the enemy with each other. Even now, they would fight against themselves for petty reasons, she thought with disdain. She shot off again. Kiara's powers were musical in nature, the sound of her voice reverberating throughout the castle. That's a comma, dumbass! It was not hard to track her down. She came to a stop outside Kiara's large double doors and stared up at them. What are we saying? What are we saying? You should take it as a compliment, or recognize those. Out of the edge. Maybe I can show it if I can write a good story or two. Sean and I are discussing on whether or not we want to write a short horror story together for Halloween. Bro! Why you no tell me about this? Why you no tell me about this? Why you no tell me? Anyways. She only had to rap once before the door opened. Inoue tightly wrapped her cloak around her as she stepped into the room. Welcome to my chambers. A voice purred up from all around her. You are Windsor Inoue, weren't you? You're far prettier than I thought you would be. Thank you, Inoue said, curtsying slightly, a small smile on her lips. But I'm not interested in Ignis. Yes, I'm well aware, Kiara purred. Your tastes tend to lean a little bit younger, don't they? I don't know what you mean, Inoue said easily. It was you who seduced American freemen and sent them against us, she said lazily. Inoue straightened herself. None of the people who are here today would fight for you, so you used the child to unite all of them under the American flag. Eye roll. The candles lined all over the room went out. The room was thrust into pure darkness. And they were thrust into pure darkness. When the candles relit themselves, they were in a completely different room. The pleasant, inviting-looking bedchamber had turned into a bare room surrounded by nothing but stone walls in every direction. The only other thing in the room was Ignis Kiara. She smiled seductively as she ran her hands through her long red hair. I meant what I said, she said. You're really pretty. You would make a wonderful gift to the master. You still being a virgin and all. I roll! The tips of her hair began to light on fire. Her legs seemed to vanish as the girl began to grow in size, towering over her. It's such a shame I have to kill you, Kiara said. The flames shot outward towards her. Inoue stood in place, her green cloak wrapped tightly around her. She let out a noise that sounded rather like she was clearing her throat. La la la! I love that I can do that. An intense burst of fire launched from her mouth. Inoue did not move as the blast hit her. It slammed into her full force, sending her cloak billowing backward. God, you like those words. Using your voice to propel fireballs, Inoue murmured. I've seen that once before. It's an old trick. You haven't seen anything yet, Kiara said. La la la! I love doing that. That's making it at least entertaining for myself. This time the notes hit even higher. The force was intense. Still, Inoue took the blast without moving an inch. Are you so frightened of me, Kiara asked. So frightened that you can't even move? Inoue smiled grimly. The only thing hurting now is my eardrums, she said quietly. Her ears were ringing. Yes, Kiara said, eventually my notes will hit a level that the human mind cannot comprehend, and your head will explode. Creative, Inoue said dryly. Or you could just hit me with more fire. Ha, Kiara said. We both know which of your level is more than capable of dealing with basic attacks. No. I will continue pitching my voice higher until you cannot bear to hear anymore. La la la! That's too much fun for me. Inoue's ears were ringing now. They were already ringing, dumbass. You already said they were ringing. She stood tall, staring up at her enemy. You can't move, Kiara asked. How quaint. Perhaps if you surrender now, you can be a concubine to the master. She stopped. She took in a deep breath. La la la! The flames that spurted out of her mouth were far weaker than the last. The flames that were shooting out of the bottom of her bathrobe were diminishing. She was falling to the floor, slowly but surely. The flames were still sputtering as she hit the ground. She fell to her knees and took in a great gasp of air. You don't know how your own powers work, do you? Inoue said quietly. Kiara grimaced, digging her long nails into the stone as she dragged herself across the floor towards her. Fire requires oxygen to burn, Inoue explained quietly. The moment you sealed me here in this airtight space, I knew I had you right where I wanted you. I got you where I want you, and now I'm gonna kill you. Kiara reached her. She held out her hand and grabbed her cloak. Inoue stared down at her coolly. I've been removing oxygen from the air since I arrived, she said. With no oxygen, you cannot produce fire. No. Kiara clutched her cloak. Please, I don't want to die. Inoue smiled. It was a cold smile, one that held no sympathy for her enemy. Neither did I, she said sweetly, as Kiara let out her last agonized gasp and then slumped over. Dead! Fucking dead! She raised her hand high into the sky. High into the... What? High into the sky and sniffed it? I smell something good. What? Celia said. Goneril raised a finger and bopped it on her nose. You. Celia flushed, turning her gaze away from the vampire. Is she giving you a hard time, Celia? Charlotte Harker asked. On the other end of their two-way radio, am I going to have to discipline her? That won't be necessary, Goneril said quickly, backing away from her. I'm behaving myself, honest. Charlotte smiled to herself and leaned back in her chair. As a non-combatant, she had taken it upon herself to take the role of the intelligence officer of the operation. If you were behaving yourself, you wouldn't be preying on my darling Celia. I wasn't going to prey on her, Goneril said indignantly. I was being serious. I can smell someone just like her. There was heavy silence. Cordelia. Celia breathed. It must be, Charlotte said softly. You have no other family in this place. Goneril leaned in close to Celia's neck and took a deep sniff. Celia flinched, almost instinctively pulling away. Goneril seemed to take a little longer than was necessary. This way. She took Celia by the hand and dragged her down the hall. We should meet up with the others, Celia said quietly as they walked. If we meet one of the 9 with our numbers, we'd be crushed. Oh, don't worry about that, Goneril said, lightly. I mean, you getting crushed means I get to see blood, right? I roll. Good evening, Douglas. I am dying on the inside. That's how I'm doing tonight. But it must be done. It must be done. We have, 70 pages left. We're doing good. We're doing good. Lol, we're still in discussion, that's why. If you want in, let me know. Duh! Of course I want in. Sounds fun. I've been considering finishing some of my old writings from high school. However, I'll have to heavily revise them first. Plus, he's written stories of his own before. Noise Marines from 40K are more frightening than this witch. I agree. None of them are frightening. They're all fucking, weak sauce. They're all weak as shit. It's terrible. Celia let out a groan, Charlotte laughing over the radio. Oh yes, Charlotte said. I've just gotten word that the 4th member of the 9 has been defeated. Ignis Chiara. Illumway did it. Not a single member of the Order of the Dragon has had a kill so far, Goneril chirped. Celia stared at her. Neither have you. I am unconcerned about such things, Goneril said lightly. She trotted ahead, dragging Celia with her. Celia tried to pull her hand away, but found herself incapable. Goneril's grip was just too tight. That's what she said. Goneril should focus on her unique strengths, Charlotte said. She's not a fighter, she's a bloodhound. Goneril turned... Wow, hold on, pause. How can you boil vampires down to that? Absolutely. Fuck you, Harman. Fuck you. That's another reason to hate you. Goneril turned back and smiled at her. Celia shook her head. They continued along past rows of dead bodies, mostly cult members. American was here, Celia noticed dryly. These are bullets from his car. I wonder what his wife tastes like. That's what she said. Goneril said, a sliver of drool coming out of her mouth. Goneril, Celia had never heard Charlotte be so angry. Goneril turned back around, laughing jovially, and then suddenly shot back into Celia's arms. Eek! Celia wrapped her arms around her and held her close as a figure stepped out from the shadows behind them. It's just me, Diablo said. I'm on your side, remember? He flicked the cigar to the side. Celia frowned at him as she pushed Goneril away. The vampire happily shifted herself so she was hugging Goneril from behind. Oh yes, the bounty hunter, Celia said cautiously. Diablo had been introduced to her as a mentor and a friend to American and Celia, but Celia honestly didn't know what to make of him. She could tell by his aura that his powers were hellish in nature, but he did not seem to be a witch. Where's the rest of your squad? Diablo said, his eyes flickering over them. We got separated during the fighting, Celia told him. Where's Persephone? Same story, he said shortly. This castle is putting up more of a fight than the enemies itself is. Celia could hardly disagree. She had noticed that many of the pale, human-like creatures that had thrown themselves at her were wraiths spawned by the castle itself. We should join forces, Celia suggested. I, am uncomfortable being alone with this one. Goneril cooed and nuzzled her neck. Fine by me, Diablo said. Come on. He turned away from them and began walking away. Celia stepped forward and spoke quietly under her breath to Charlotte. Can I trust him? He's a very famous demon hunter in this part of the world, Charlotte said lazily. He was present when Soliel's mother was paralyzed. He fought for her and saved her life. Soliel trusts him implicitly. I can assure you that she's very picky about the company she keeps. You know Soliel better than anyone, it seems. We've been friends since we were children, Charlotte said. She's like a little sister to me. I dare say I know her better than she knows herself. I roll. I fucking roll. Diablo glanced back to look at her. Celia fell silent as she stepped forward. Goneril had now wrapped her arms around her neck and was being dragged along behind her. The vampire, Diablo said. How does Charlotte Harker have such control over her? I haven't a clue, Celia answered truthfully. She knew that Charlotte was listening to their every word, and yet did not bother to explain herself. I don't like it, Diablo said shortly. She's done something to her. I've never known a vampire to be so. He stopped. He held out his arm to Celia as she stopped. And she stopped. Goneril clutched her arm around her neck. It's her, she purred. A girl that looked very much like Celia was standing at the end of the hallway. Celia felt her heart seize up in her chest. The girl stared right at them. Mother? Celia pushed Goneril off of her and quickly trotted forward. No, Diablo shouted, as he leapt forward and pushed her to the ground. A great burst of fire shot towards them and almost burnt them to a crisp. Goneril let out a startled yelp and fell down onto her back. Ha 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 ha. Celia felt her heart go cold. She pushed herself off the ground and stood next to Diablo, at the thing that had attacked them. She's possessed, Diablo said darkly, as the girl advanced towards them. By Ignis himself. Dun dun dun! What? Celia stared at the girl in horror. She was perhaps 18 or 19 years old, but the aura she was emanating was nothing but pure evil. The monster glowered at them, her long orange hair billowing behind her like a wraith. You use that word again! In this state, she could harness the vast majority of Ignis's significant power. It was possible she could kill every single one of the opposing army with little effort. Dante drew a large sword. You mean Diablo? Dante's the fucking dog. What? Harman, did you have a seizure when you wrote this? Did you have an aneurysm? Because you got the wrong name. Diablo drew a large sword. Celia turned to look at it in horror. She could make out the image of a woman in the bright blue gem of the sword before it began to emanate a bright blue. Why do you repeat yourself so much? The demon shrieked and recoiled as Diablo advanced, the swords aloft. You're not going to fight her? Celia asked, horrified. We have to, Diablo said grimly. Ignis is too powerful for the likes of me to exercise from such an ideal host. Killing her is the only option. No, Celia trotted forward. Cordelia, listen to me. She begged her. Your mother was my twin sister. My name is Celia Rosenbaum. I'm your auntie. I roll. The possessed girl looked at her. For a brief moment, Celia thought she had gotten through to her. I'd have you too, girl, it sneered. Celia stiffened, glowering hatefully at it as Diablo stood his ground. The sword still held aloft. I have to do it, girl, he told her. I can kill her now and give her peace. If you get in my way, you'll get us all killed. Celia stepped forward. The dual fans that she had carried into battle fell out of her hands and clattered on the ground. Cordelia, she took a step forward. I love you. We've never met, but you're family. My sister and I always wanted children of our own, and I care about you. Gay! The girl did not move as Celia came within inches of her. What the over-the-top anime reaction? Who is who? I don't fucking know anymore, Battle Puppet. I don't even know anymore. I'm just trying to get this over with. Because we've got less than 70 pages left, and I want to die. I want to die. Please, she whispered, fight. She held out her arms and wrapped them around her. The girl flinched. She stood there completely still for a moment, and in one furious blow, caught Celia straight in the chest with a punch, blowing her heart out. No! Celia smiled grimly as she clung to Cordelia's body. Love you, she rasped. And then she was still. Gay! The girl stood there for a moment and then blinked. Where am I? She said. She let out a screech as she took note of the body clutching her. She pushed it away and it fell at her feet with a crash. Goneril bounced up behind Diablo and bent over the body. I like you better like this, she said as she bent her head down to Celia's chest, which was completely covered in blood. Diablo stepped up behind her and yanked her back up by the scruff of the neck. Cordelia stared. Come on, kid. As long as you're in control and with me, I can repress the possession. Come with me if you want to be free. She bit her lip, nodding, and then followed. Back to Sinistra. Fun. So, she's dead, right? Sinistra prodded Celia's still body at her foot, as if half expecting her to leap to life and begin fighting again. She is not, Kimura denied. She sipped her tea. Why? Sinistra exploded. You're going to give me a heart attack? She's worth more to us alive, Kimura said. If the enemy realize we defeated their ace, their morale will drop. She smiled. Her husband especially will be rattled. The husband would be single again if you killed her now, Sinistra said. I need her dead. I know your feelings, Kimura said. And I would advise you to forget them. The man does not return your affections and never will. You're in love with a ghost. Sinistra scowled at her. I speak the truth, Kimura said. You are very young. You still do not realize that love will not bring you happiness. Love is all I have. Kimura gave her a hard expression. Then you have nothing at all, she said simply. She returned to her tea. When she finished her cup, she placed the helmet back on her head and stood up. Oh, you're so wise. All of your wise teachings, Harman. I'm being sarcastic. You have the wisdom of a fetus. All you do is co-op shit. And then make it worse. Come with me, Kimura said. Help me leave an impression on our enemy. Sinistra dutifully wrapped her arm around Soliel and lifted her up off the ground. They reached the castle ramparts and looked out over the horizon. They could see a small gathering of the enemy right outside of the castle gates. The Order of the Dragon. This woman is Christian, yes? Sinistra eyed the cross-shaped necklace wrapped around Soliel's neck. It doesn't take a genius to say yes. Kimura raised her hand. Steel began to creep from her arm and into her hand. It began to mold into a great shape. A wicked-looking cross formed in her hand. She slammed the cross into the castle rampart, embedding it deep. Oh my god, he's making a fucking crucifixion reference. Oh, you just shit all over everything, don't you, Harman? You fucking tard. Sinistra took off into the air, dragging Soliel behind her, and turned around. Giant steel nails came from Kimura next. Sinistra Sinistra took hold of each of her arms aloft. Sinistra held each of her arms aloft as they were pierced, nailing her to the cross. Dying inside. Wake me up inside. Can't wake up. Save me. Sinistra giggled. Soliel's head was hanging limp in midair. She looked positively pathetic. Sinistra cupped her chin in her hand and lifted it up. He's mine for the taking now, Sinistra whispered. She landed on the wall beside the cross and leaned up against it. The crowd below her had noticed them now. They could see a blonde girl notice them first. She pointed him out to the others, and soon enough, they all were looking up at them. Behold, Sinistra said dramatically, as she lifted off the ground and descended towards them. Your hero, Soliel Freeman. She turned around and kicked Soliel in the face. She reeled, shuddering. Kimura had to steady the cross with her hand to keep it from snapping in two. Soliel has fallen, but Kimura still stands, Sinistra shouted. Kimura is the strongest of us all. There is not a man or witch among you who can destroy her. Kimura stood steadfast. Oh my god, sucking dick. Sucking so much like this. Gawk, 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 gawk. Kimura stood fast, staring down at the crowd below with a critical eye. All of their best fighters had entered the castle. None of those who had to retreat would be any match for her. Sinistra raised her hand, an intense flame emanating from it. She clutched it into a fist, and it sparked with a ferocious glow. Behold, Sinistra said to the crowd, the death of Soliel Blade. You will not touch her. Sinistra froze. She could feel her heart stop in her chest. She cast a horrified look at Kimura, who had stiffened. What the hell was that? Sinistra asked. An evil aura seemed to be emanating from the castle. It was not a familiar sense that one exposed to the Ignis usually felt. No, this was something else. I have been granted power, the voice intoned. Behold! An intense explosion of black energy erupted from the castle. Sinistra screamed, and as the sheer force and energy of the blast sent her reeling backward. Kimura stood tall, staring down at the explosion with a steely gaze. There, still in the middle of the entrance hall of the castle, was a strange black egg. Sinistra recognized it instantly. It's a witch, she said. She's ascending. Cracks began to run up and down the egg. Behold, a star of chaos is born! Dark miasma began to seep up from the sides of the egg. The material began to melt away, exposing the person inside. It was deep black in color. Its head, which had once been human, had morphed into that of a monster's, a large head held together by rows of razor-sharp teeth. A snake-like tongue licked its black lips as it spread its insects-like wings behind it. Its long, insect-like arms ended in vicious claws that dripped with a pure black miasma. A sinking feeling began to rise up within Sinistra. What is that? She demanded to Kimura. A creature born from the deepest corners of hell, Kimura answered. A demon most evil and foul. Evil, the thing said. If that is what I will take to destroy you, then let me be evil. The inky black substance that had eroded the black egg seeped over her. It hardened, forming in an armor plating that was embedded into her very skin. She stared up at them, and her gaze fixed squarely on Solio. Solio, let me be the one to protect you. I'm gay! Sorry, I had to. Sinister shot forward like a rocket. She blasted across the sky and raised her fist. She was still moving when Isabel appeared behind her. What? Isabel swung both of her hands down in a hammer strike. Sinistra shot through the sky faster than she'd been moving, slamming through stone towers and out the other side. She continued flying into the distance and out of sight. Kimura took off, her hammer raised as Isabel shot towards her. Kimura's keen eyes saw her coming and swung the hammer in an arc to try and swat her out of the sky. Isabel, moving at her high speed, whirled around in a circle, looking for an opening. She dove in from below, towards the legs. Kimura shot down, kicking out. Isabel dodged, but Kimura followed up with another hammer, with another hammer string. God fucking. The black miasma shot out from her pores, covering the hammer in an inky black substance. In a matter of seconds, the hammer had melted. The hammer connected with Isabel, and it shattered upon impact. Isabel's smile became sick, dummy, and twisted as she lunged for Kimura, attacking her with a series of furious swipes. Ah! The black miasma emanating from her fingers cut right through Kimura's Japanese armor, ate away at it faster than it could regenerate, and what was more, it was beginning to seep into her skin. Kimura let out a pain gasp, pulling away slightly as Isabel went for a critical blow. Kimura held her hand out, and a giant blade began to mold in it. She didn't even bother to give it a hold. The blade stabbed towards Isabel's armor, and it connected and broke. Kimura barely had time to react as Isabel struck her again with her miasmic claws, tearing through her armor and devouring her flesh. Ugh! Kimura's steel grew and melted around Isabel's arm. She stopped, tugging backward wildly as the steel began to crawl over itself, layering itself so deep that the miasma couldn't eat through it as quickly. Isabel tried striking her with her hand, but Kimura caught it. Again, the steel began to melt over it, holding her upright in front of her. Yah! A number of pointed blades sprouted from Kimura's chest, breastplating and shot towards the enemy all at once. They connected her armor and shattered on impact. But wave after wave of them came. Soon the black armor began to shudder and crack, and then splurr! Kimura's blades cracked her open, splitting her in half. Black miasma shot all over, landing among castle walls all over the armor. It melted through in seconds. Kimura screamed as the miasma ate her away at her helmet, her head, and eventually her brain. She hung limply in the mid-air and then began to fall. Isabel stayed aloft, her arms ripped out of the sockets by Kimura's falling weight, but she was still flying. Her eyes followed Solio. She flew towards her and landed in a heap at the cross at her feet. Solio was staring down at her. Isabel slowly raised her head and began to limply climb up the cross. Isabel, Celia said softly. She placed her clawed hands on the nails. How many of them got ripped off? I thought she didn't have any claws anymore. Placed her clawed hands on the nails in the cross and began to wiggle them out, loosening their grip on her. She pulled them out one at a time. Solio's body fell to the ground, and Isabel soon followed suit. Solio, fighting through the pain, sat up and made her way towards her. She wrapped her arms around Isabel's upper body and lifted out the ground. Isabel, she said again, staring down at her face. You did this for me? Isabel smiled at her softly. The light was already fading from her eyes. Better you live than me. Solio brought her body close to her head, and for the first time since she was 8 years old, began to cry. Gay. If this was written better, maybe I'd feel something. Isabel's dead, Solio said tonelessly as she rejoined the others at the base of the castle. Windsor Poppy was busy fussing over her injuries, sealing the nail wounds on her hands and whatnot. So was Jillian and Celia, Charlotte said grimly. But we recovered her niece, Cordelia, though. Goneril's bringing her here now. Ignis Kimura was seen as a titan among the Ignis, Poppy said quietly, the green light emanating from her hands. The Windsor will sing of Isabel's sacrifice for eons. That isn't going to bring her back to life, now is it? Solio snapped. Poppy did not flinch at the reprimand. She continued tending to her wounds. Be nice to your nurse, Solio. Charlotte admonished. I imagine you were going back to back into the field. Once I'm healthy, yes, Soliel said. I'm afraid that I cannot allow that, Poppy said. You're in no condition to fight. You've been through the ringer. Being crucified is no joke. What I went through is nothing compared to what Christ. Comparing yourself to our Lord and Savior isn't going to make us change our mind. Harman, you are a fucking heathen. And that's coming from an atheist. Charlotte interrupted. You're staying here, and that's final. Soliel's eyes flashed. You would ask me to allow my husband in there, alone? Yes, Charlotte told her. You're worthless to him right now. Soliel grimaced. We thought that I would be the driving force behind the invasion, she said quietly, and yet I haven't managed to land a single kill. You've been busy, Charlotte said. Keeping Sinistra and Kimura occupied saved tons of lives. I can only imagine what would have happened if Kimura had fought anyone else out here. It would have been a bloodbath. She turned towards Poppy. That makes 6 of the 9? Yes, Poppy said quietly. Francesca, Arakeen, Thorn, Yvette, Kiara, and now Kimura. That leaves Hilda, Ninian, and English. Before Soliel could respond, Minerva came in. Diablo and his party are approaching, Sue said shortly. There were no major incidents on the way back. Oh, hell no, it better not be what I'm thinking it is. They already did the crucifixion thing, Spectre. They already did it. He already did it. Blasphemy. Yes, thank you, Minerva, Charlotte said idly. Oh, are you thinking that, the niece is playing a game, and Ignis is playing possum? Because that could be very true. That could actually happen. So, thank you, Minerva, Charlotte said idly as she reached for her pen and paper and documented the event alongside the time. Well, it seems like there have been a number of casualties on both sides. I suppose we need to start tending to our wounded. Perhaps we should call Illinois back and have her join you in first aid, Poppy. No, I can handle it, Poppy said earnestly. As long as the patient doesn't move, she added, and as Soliel twitched. Well, at any rate, you'll have your work cut out for you, Charlotte said. But I dare say that all Cordelia will need is rest. Is it possible she could succumb to the possession against Soliel? Yes, Soliel said. But she's done a remarkable job fighting it even under enemy territory. I doubt that she will succumb again once she's among friends, especially if that friend is Diablo Mondo. Oh, he has a last name. Lucky him. Well, you're the closest thing we have to an expert, Charlotte said, but I've arranged for her to be taken back to the women's shelter. The closer she is to the battlefield, the more chance she has of relapsing. That's stupid. That's very stupid. Zane slid the sword back into his sheath. His enemy, the Ignis swordsman, fell out onto the ground. A little bit extravagant, are you? Alyssa asked him. I do not know what you mean, Zane said quietly. Your gauntlets. They looked more worn and damaged than he ever had seen them. It's the temperature of their flames, she explained. This thing was built to resist aura and magic attacks, but that also includes my own, so they tend to get banged up pretty easily. It's not usually a problem since I can do repairs outside battle, but... She sighed and shook her head. Your machina will be the death of you, Zane said. And your lack of tact will be the death of you. Enough, Zachariah rumbled, as he came up from behind them. His own sword was covered in blood. Lisa, do you need to take time for repairs? Lisa said, I don't know. We can't afford to take the time, can we? It's up to you. I'll keep going, Lisa said. After a moment's consideration, she stopped. Stomping down the hallway towards them was a great fiery dragon, its head resembling the shape of Ignis itself. Goat-like and flaming. That could have been a comma instead of a period. Its horns protruded outward in a spiral shape. It was an unsettling sight. Knights of the Dragon, the creature cried. It has been too long. It bobbed its head back and forth, rather like a snake. Hilda, Zane said immediately. The Dragon of Ignis. That is correct, Hilda said. I once terrorized the mountains of Italy until your order drove me out. Smoke protruded from her nostrils as she spoke. A pity you weren't slain, Zachariah said. This is an oversight we must correct. Zane drew a sword, and Elisa readied herself. Hilda laughed. You think you can best me? It asked. In these halls? She was so big that she filled up the entire space of the hall. Maneuvering around her would be impossible. They would have to tackle her from the front. They would not be able to use their superior numbers to surround and overwhelm her. What do you think, boss? Alyssa asked Zachariah. A swift, clean cut to the head should do it, he said. Zane stepped forward, drawing his katana. You are not a man of Japan, Hilda said, glaring down at him with great dislike. A true katana from a true samurai would cut right through me, but anything less would simply break on my skills. I am no samurai, Zane said quietly, but I am a swordsman nonetheless. Ha, Hilda said. Everyone knows that the Japanese are the world's greatest swordsmen. What hope do you have to... Hilda screeched as a deep cut slashed into her chest. None of them had even seen Zane move. I've worked hard to become their equal, Zane said quietly, as Hilda lowered her gaze, staring down hatefully at him. I have faith enough in my ability to destroy you. I roll. Alyssa stepped behind him, holding her gauntlets in front of her. Zane, stop it, she hissed. We can't afford to take risks. Kill her now and be done with it. Hilda steadied herself and stared down at Zane with great disdain. I've heard stories of a man among the Order of the Dragon who has tried to emulate the samurai, she rasped. I never thought it would be you. She dug her front claws into the stone in front of them. She lowered her head and breathed lava. Watch it, Alyssa said as the floor beneath them began to melt. The lava seeped out of her head and it swept over the stone. We are on a higher floor, Zechariah called. Freeze it in place or destroy it. It's up to you. Lisa bit her lip, giving a small nod. She raised her palms and pointed them at the floor. An intense explosion followed. Hilda fell, her heavy body causing the entire floor around them to collapse. The three knights leapt onto the falling debris, trying to get into a position as the great beast spread her wings, slowing her descent. The great goat-like head snapped towards Zane, who leapt to the side and slashed at her head. She dodged, rather like a snake, and Zacharias stepped in, swinging his blade wildly. His sword ricocheted off of her tough scales. Hilda lunged her claw forward and caught Zachariah mid-hair. He cried out, struggling as she crushed his skull into a pulp. No, Alyssa leapt forward. She punched the beast's head with her gauntlet, and it reeled. Her claws shot upward and slashed at her, and it dug straight into her arm. Ah! Hilda snatched Alyssa out of the air and brought her up towards her mouth. Alyssa struggled wildly as the teeth and fangs bent down over her and bit down. In a last-ditch effort, Alyssa freed her left arm and thrust it between her jaws. The dragon bit down hard on the gauntlet. Alyssa screamed as her arm was ripped from her body. She bit down to scream in her throat and focused her magic energy into the gauntlet that was still in Hilda's mouth, forcing as much of her energy into it as possible. The gauntlet exploded. Hilda threw her head back wildly, the explosion throwing her off for a split second. In a flash, Zane leapt forward and with one smooth stroke slashed off her head. They all fell. The bodies of Zachariah and Hilda fell to the ground with a thud. Alyssa, still clutched tightly in Hilda's grasp, hit the ground and rolled. Zane landed right next to her. Are you alright? Alyssa was still sobbing as Zane tried to help her up. My arm. Be thankful it was only that, Zane chided her. Take pride, we won. Alyssa nodded, gritting her teeth. She took a deep breath and tried to calm her hysteria. You're in no condition to keep fighting, Zane said. I'll escort you back to safety and then rejoin battle myself. Zachariah, we have to leave him, Zane said firmly. It is too dangerous here. We can recover the bodies after we win. Yes, of course, Alyssa said. Her lifetime of training for this moment took over. She allowed Zane to wrap his arms around her and help her to her feet. She tried focusing her inner energy on stopping the bleeding. She felt calmer. Can you walk? I still have my legs, Alyssa quipped, her voice faltering slightly at the last word. The car came to a screeching halt, all four tires exploding into flame. The engine exploded in their faces, destroying the entire car around them. The wreckage was still smoking as Dante and American climbed out of the car. Kind of rough, huh, boy? Dante barked disapproval. The figure standing behind them twirled his baton in his hand. American Freeman, he said. You've caused enough trouble. It was a cop. He was about American's age, perhaps 20 years old, but had already grown into the uniform of Ignis. He stepped towards them lightly, and his eyes fixed squarely on them. You're under arrest. American drew his gun and fired. The cop raised his baton and slapped the bullet out of the air, sending it spinning. Too good for a cop, American said. Who are you really? My name is Chris Crease, he said. I'm the best cop of Ignis. He got into a fighting stance, and I'm going to kill you. That could be one fucking paragraph! American glanced upwards. What is at the top of this tower? Nothing of consequence, Crease answered. You can go up there. You can't go up there. American grinned. I thought I could do whatever I like in Ignis. Crease hit his palms with the baton. Don't be coy with me, he said. If your actions harm someone else, you have to be stopped. Sounds an awful lot like a law to me, American growled. Does not matter what you think, Crease said. You will be stopped. By me or by someone else. He pointed the baton at him. Don't fight back. It'll be worse if you do. American shot the man again and he ducked, bending his body over as he broke into a sprint. American fired shot after shot at him, but his speed and reflexes were so great that every bullet missed. Dante leapt forward, teeth bared, and the man swung his baton in an arc, catching him in the jaw. He flipped over, sprawled out onto the ground, his neck broken, as American closed the distance between them, trying to land a shot. Ugh. It's very corny. Barbara's Dantiak's sacrifice was written better and a lot sadder than what Harman's ever written. Yeah, right. So corny, man. Bro, he can't even do religious symbolism right. No, he cannot. He can't do anything right. All he does is co-op shit and then, like, make it into ass. Wouldn't Japanese sword fighting techniques be less optimal for fighting creatures with denser skin or armor? You think Harman will go with the actual logic of things? Even if it was blasphemous as all hell, I'd forgive it if it was written well, but it's not. Plus, like everyone else, Japan loved using spears as their main weapons. I'm guessing Harman might have read some light novels and assumed that you break lines frequently to give off a feeling of pace or tension or something. He wanted to make a manga, but he doesn't know how to draw. He doesn't know how to write either, but still. The man swung the baton, and American caught his arm with his free hand. Chris swung his other hand across his face. Your enemy is mortal. His power is nothing if you use it against him. American dodged the attack, grabbed hold of his leg and threw himself forward. The man cried out as American threw him onto his back. Crack! American broke the other man's leg. The man lunged at him pitifully with the baton. American grabbed a hold of that and snapped that too. No, stop, the man begged. If you kill me, you'll be just like me. American ripped the baton from his now useless hand and raised it upward. He brought it down with a sickening crack onto his head, silencing him forever. He turned around and faced the body of Dante, stared down at it. Why are you killing all of the dogs? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this, Harman? Fuck you. Without another word, he stood and climbed the stairs to the second floor. He found himself in a small shrine to Ignis. The head priest of the Ignis cult sat kneeling in the front of the large statue of the Ignis before him. You came, the man said, as the door slammed shut behind him. After your wife killed poor Nicholas, I knew it was only a matter of time. Who are you? I am Osmond Salazar. I am the head of the Church of Ignis, and the man who's mentored Nicholas in everything he knew. He wasn't a very good Christian, American observed. Osmond laughed. I imagine not. Our church goes against all Christian teachings by its very nature. Please do not think Nicholas was anything unusual. All religious men are just like him. He stood up. He turned to face American. This glinting metal mask shaped in the face of Ignis glinted in the bright candlelight. Tell me, boy. Boy, he said. Do you truly wish to kill your own mother? Yes, Americans answered him. So be it, the man said. The entire shrine burst into flames. American felt the cool water wraith armor wrap around his body to protect him from the overwhelming hellish heat. This is fire from Ignis himself, Salazar told him. No other element would be more fitting for a battle. He raised his arms high, and as his arms and legs burst into flame, he hovered in the air, shifting back and forth in place like a specter. May the flames of Ignis consume you! Those who threaten our freedom will be destroyed! Blah, 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 blah. American raised his father's gun and fired. It slammed into the man's goat mask, splitting it in half, and blew his head wide open. I'm free to stop you, American said coldly, as the body tumbled backwards onto the floor. He stepped past the still body of Salazar to the stairway to the next floor. There was no one on there. There was no one here. It took American a while to realize that what he was looking for. This was Sinistra's room. The things that were strewn about were dear to them both. He stopped at her desk and glanced at it. Photograph of his father, his mother, Sinistra, and himself was there. Sinistra was smiling at it. He stared at it for a while and felt a strange pang at his heart. Those happy days were nothing but a lie. He proceeded to the fourth floor. It's you, his mother gestured to the tea table in front of her. I was just having some tea, she said conversationally. While your followers fight for their lives, he asked coldly as he stepped forward. I am under no obligation to protect them, she said idly. If they wish to survive in the new world, they will protect themselves. If not, she shrugged her shoulders. American stared at her. He felt an intense rage bubbling up within him. What is it? She asked. American raised his leg and kicked the table over. His mother sat idly, her hands folded in her lap, as she watched him. Why do you do this, American? She asked. Is this not what you wanted, to see the city destroyed? I thought you cared about them, American shouted at her. I thought you were going to fight. I will fight for my own freedom, she said. My enemy is whoever threatens my freedom. She smiled up at him. I'll be honest with you, my son. I care more about you than I do them. She stood up. The wooden chair she was sitting in exploded into flame. Why is that there? Why is that there? The choice is yours, she said. Threaten me or my master, and I will be forced to defend myself. But otherwise, when this is all over, I would very much like to be a grandmother to your children. American drew his gun and pointed at her. You don't want to do this, English said quietly. Even now, you don't hate me, or Sinister either for that matter. You know now the circumstances from which you were born. No one in this city needs to be protected by any higher power. Be they government, God, or man. Destroy those you despise if you must. But never forget that you only have one mother. American pulled the trigger. I bet your mother hates you. The bullet fired from the gun and it hit her in the head. Bounced harmlessly off. Yes, English said quietly. Your father died to protect you, to protect us. That weapon is useless against me, but not against your master. Yes, English said. She looked very sad. Please don't make me hurt you, American. He swung the butt of the gun at her head. She grabbed his hand and twisted it out of his grip. American grimaced and kicked out at her leg, trying to throw her to the ground. Her body burst into flame and American pulled back, flinching as she pulled away from him. You can't destroy me, English said quietly. You're far too weak. American glanced at her. The water wraith was wrapping around him. That toy, English said contemptuously. You think you can best me with such a thing. American threw a punch at her. She dodged, and a shot of water burst from his fist and hit her across the face. She reeled, steam arising from her face as a bright red mark appeared on her cheek. What was that about not being able to hurt you? American asked. Stop this, English commanded, or I will destroy this entire castle and your friends with it. The walls of the room began to shudder and shake. She meant it, and had power to do it. Even my wife, American demanded. The tower stopped quaking. You can always find another, his mother said quietly. Soliel is the only girl for me, American said, and if we're going to live in peace, I have to destroy you, and your master too. I will not raise my family to follow in your path. You will betray your own family? No, I will start my own. Oh, you're so wise. Bleh. Fucking kill me. Not really, YouTube, not really. English brought her hands to his neck and gripped it. His water wraith cloak was still wrapped tightly around him, so her hands had to bury themselves deep in it to reach him. Intense bursts of steam began to emanate from it as she lifted him off the ground, throttling him. We are family, she shouted at them. You would throw it all away for people who care nothing for you. This place was accursed before we ever stepped foot in here. America is not free. American freemen. You are not wise, Harman. There are no drops of wisdom that you could put in here that would make you look any less of a dumbass. American pressed his hands on her wrist and tried to pull her away from him, but her grip only became tighter. The water wraith tried defending itself from her with lashes from its water tendrils, but English simply stood there and allowed her body to take the hits. What do you think will happen if you destroy me? She asked. Do you think the people will love you? Do you think that something thudded against the windowsill? She stopped and turned her head as the wall behind them began to crumble. It shattered. A broken and bloody Ninian fell through, her helmet removed and her armor ripped to shreds. She got in my way, Soliel Freeman said breathlessly as she stepped into the room. Put him down. English threw American to the side. Well, 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 she said idly. You really like that word, don't you? You have like a few words that you just really into that get you just really fucking hard, don't you? If it isn't my beloved daughter-in-law, do not call me that, Soliel said sharply. You have long ago forfeited your right to call yourself his mother. She stepped into the room. Ninian weakly tried grabbing at her leg to try and stop her, but she stomped down on her face, shattering her head into pieces. You truly are remarkable, English said as Soliel strode into the room. Your powers far surpass my expectation. I dare say the only reason my son made it this far was because of you. No, Soliel delighted. The only reason I am here at all is because of him. Yes, English said, considering her words. You have devoted your life to hunting and Marisiu, and yet you married my son, a child of Ignis who was refused his own heritage. American tried to sit up, but his head was ringing. It is his humanity that I love, Soliel said quietly. His humanity, English asked. My father and his father's father were one and the same, Ignis. He is more demon than man. If you believe he can absolve himself of his heritage, you are dearly mistaken. You mean sorely mistaken, stupid fuck. Ah! American grit his teeth and shakily got to his feet. He chose humanity over his own desires, Soliel said, to protect others and serve as a guiding light for those around him, even when he believed that it couldn't be done alone. It could not be done. He is more of a man than any other in the city, especially his grandfather. You mean Salazar? Osmond Salazar, did he just combine two RE4 villains at once into one? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did that. Giving characters names like American Freeman only works if you have an actual sense of style or humor. Would have tuned in earlier, but the YouTube app on my phone is being stupid. It always is stupid. It's fine. We are getting dangerously close to being done. English hissed in a primal rage. It was sacrilegious to a witch to hear an insult aimed at her master. American raised his gun. He slowly pointed it towards Soliel. She met his eyes as he fired the gun. She swung the sword, hitting the bullet midair and sending it back towards English. She smiled as the bullet hit her and blew a hole open in her head. What? She gasped. As she staggered. How? Soliel slipped closer to her. It was by my power that felled you. It was my power that felled you, she said quietly, not your husband's. Soliel punched her in the stomach, and she bent over. Blood and brains splattered all over the stone floor. This isn't possible, English rasped. How are you this strong? Soliel raised her hand and reached for the hole in her head. She placed her fingers in the wound and pulled apart. She ripped her head completely open, blood and brains splattering onto the floor at her feet. You already said that! You already said that! God! Soliel watched her body for a moment, ensuring that she was dead, before quickly stepping towards American. Are you alright? She asked cautiously. Yeah, American said. I have the best wife in the world. Gay. Soliel helped him up, and after a brief hesitation, patted off the dust on his shoulder and straightened his collar. Now's not the time for that, American said. The summoning. They turned to the last set of stairs, the 5th floor, Soliel said quietly. That must be where they're summoning the beast. My grandfather. Oh, so your grandfather's Ignis. That's dumb. Don't call him that, Soliel said sharply. American laughed. He took her hand, and the two of them stepped up the stairs together. I might not be able to protect you like this, Soliel said cautiously. I should take point. American released her, and she stepped up the stairs in front of him, her sword at the ready. He placed his hand on his father's gun as they stepped into the final room. There was nothing here other than the summoning circle. They proceeded cautiously. We've killed everyone who could finish the summoning, Soliel said quietly. All the 9. All that's left to do now is dispel the summoning circle. How much you want to bet Sinistra comes into here and does the summoning? Excuse me. We need an expert's opinion, Soliel said. Elway, perhaps, or one of the... She stopped. She looked up. What is it? Soliel set the sword aside and drew a gun. She pointed it at the ceiling and started shooting. The stone blasted apart. Just above them, on the highest point of the castle, was Sinistra. Who called it? Who called it? You're so easy to figure out. Good God. You killed her, Sinistra shouted down at American. You killed your own mother. I did that, she said quietly. Sinistra laughed shrilly. Oh yes, one in body and soul, are you? The perfect couple. I want to die. Do you ever feel like breaking down? Do you ever feel out of place? Like somehow you just don't belong and no one understands you? Ugh. God, I hate it. I hate it so much. Too bored and too long of a list. So Harman's grandfather's a demon. Does he mean Papa Nurgle? No. Papa Nurgle doesn't love him. No, no, no. Pathetically predictable. I know, right? I called that from like a mile away because there's only one person that could that is the successor, and that's Sinistra, and she didn't die. Her body began to light up and sparkle. I have nothing else to live for, she called down to them. Behold, the dawn of our new world. Soliel shot at her. The bullets harmlessly phased through her. Her entire body caught fire. American! He had already drawn his own gun and had fired. The bullet shot upward and slammed straight into her head. It exploded into flame. No, Soliel whispered. She's sacrificing herself to Ignis. The flames covering Soliel became even more intense. The skin on her flesh was burning away, and her teeth and bones were becoming more exposed. Her skeleton was smiling. I hate this world and everyone in it, she cried. Let it burn. American stepped forward. The Ignis are a selfish breed, he murmured, but sacrificing yourself for the master would leave a massive impact on the summoning. Soliel, this is bad. The entire castle rumbled. They grabbed hold of each other to steady themselves as the tower around them began to fall apart. We can't stay here, Soliel said. It's too late now. It's coming. That's what she said. American! They turned just outside of the collapsed wall. A sky serpent was staring at them. Get on! Elome's voice came from the creature. Without a second's hesitation, American took Soliel's hand and dragged her forward. They leapt out of the hole in the wall, and Elome took off into the sky. What happened? Elome demanded. We had the battle won. What did you do? Sinistra sacrificed herself, American said grimly. Oh no, Elome whispered. A witch at her level sacrificing herself and a virgin too? What is it with you and virgins? Is it because you're one? You have a really deep, deep, deep fascination with them. She's worth perhaps millions of ordinary souls. Ignis witches weren't usually so selfless. This isn't an act of selflessness, American said grimly as the tower continued to crumble as they soared high above. This is her dream, to hurt as many people as she possibly can. What? She's an evil person, Soil spat, an avatar of hell itself. You're going to get a glimpse of hell very soon, Illinois said quietly. American, we very well may die here. God, you can't even write properly. Holy fuck. American gripped her head. You've been a good friend to me, he said. I beg of you, fight with us until the bitter end. In the distance, they could see another sky serpent flying up high above the sky. Diablo, Ichiro, Zane, and Annie were all riding on top of her. It's Madeline, Illy said tonelessly. We won't be alone when the time comes. What about the others, American asked. Are they going to fight? The others are too injured to fight, Madeline called towards them. This is it, our last stand. A giant clawed hand shot out of the tower. It bent over sideways, clutching the remains of the tower in its claw, and began to pull itself outward. No, you don't! Diablo leapt from Madeline's back. He raised the sword above his head and plummeted hundreds of feet. Ignis raised its head out of the circle and took its first gasp of air, right as Diablo slammed into his nose. The nose shattered upon impact. The head reeled to the side, and Diablo leapt backward, jet black, scaly wings protruding from his back. The demon turned to look at him and laughed. Son of Mondo, it said. You turn on your own kind to fight for the humans. Diablo drew his sword. Yeah, he said darkly. I like that side of the family more. That side of the family more. Ignis laughed. I like human women myself, it said. Its nose began to straighten and correct itself. Its hyperactive healing properties were truly something to behold. Perhaps I will spread my seed across the entire world. Yeah, like hell you will. Diablos' sword flashed, an intense blue light emanating from it. And Ignis recorded. That's a comma. Now, Ilmway and Madeline swooped down on either side of him. Don't you dare jump off, Annie snapped towards Ichiro, who was staring intently at Ignis. You can't fly, remember? Zane took his position on Madeline's head and drew his sword. I'm trusting you to outmaneuver this beast, he said. Ignis is no match for my speed, Madeline promised him. Don't worry about that. Just focus on good, precise strikes. She dove down and onto Ignis. Zane raised his sparkling silver sword and swung it, digging deep into Ignis' arm. Ignis chuckled as the wound healed almost instantly. His critical points are still in hell, Zane said to Madeline. We won't be able to do any damage until he's fully summoned, but once that happens, it'll all be over. Ignis continues to rise out of the tower. It seemed that they had to diminish his own size to fit through the portal. His upper body grew larger and larger as he rose, ballooning up to insane proportions. The skeletal wings shot out from either side of him, and he flapped them, increasing the speed of his own ascent. Elamway, what should I shoot? American asked. Ignis cannot be killed, Elamway said. Our only chance is to send him back from whence he came. Ignis continued to rise out of the circle. If you're going to do something, you better do it now. Soil slid up beside him. We must weaken him as much as possible, she said quietly, and allow the witches to send him back. Ignis raised a giant hand and swiped at Diablo. He swerved out of the way, his glowing blue sword held aloft, and another bright blue shot of energy shot towards him. God. A deep cut etched itself on his face. Ha! American drew his father's gun and fired. The bolt ripped through the air and slammed into the cut. It blew open the wound. Bright red blood poured out of the waves. Who dares? Ignis raised his hand upwards and saw American. You are of my blood, it roared. How dare you raise your hand against me, boy? Diablo swerved in. He swung the sword in a wild arc and cut deep into its neck. Ignis snorted at him, and an intense blast of flame from his nostrils covered Diablo so completely that for a brief moment, American was convinced he had turned to ash. When the flames subsided, Diablo was standing there, his clothes in tatters. Men and women, warriors all, Ignis crowed, witness me and know thy end is near. Ignis placed one leg on the edge of the tower. This is it, Eloy moaned. If we don't send him back now, we've lost. American grimaced. Solio put her hand on his shoulder, and Eloy and Madeline dove down. Americana! Ignis shouted, his voice carrying out loud over the distance. I'm coming for you. Phew! The intense blast of energy shot from the distance and slammed into the side of Ignis's head. The demon toppled over, collapsing in a heap in its own castle. Its last leg sticking up straight into the air. Eloy and Madeline shot back up. They had missed their chance. What was that? Annie asked, alarmed. That was the starbeam, Eloy said, wide-eyed. They actually used it? A what? It's a weapon that possesses enough force to destroy an entire planet. I've never known Americana to use it on a target this far inland. God, you keep adding shit to it. The power levels keep rising. They keep rising. Ignis sat up. He rubbed his head and glared across the horizon. Coward, he rumbled. I challenge you, and yet you send the lowest of your minions. He slowly got to his feet. Diablo flapped up to meet him, his sword brandished before him. This thing is a kaiju, Illinois said. Conventional weapons won't even scratch it. We need a new plan, Illinois, American said. How do we send him back? I don't know. Rah! Ichiro leapt off of the back of Madeline and brought Yamato down on his head with a thunderous crash. Ignis did not even flinch as Ichiro slammed it into his head. He found his footing and began pounding over and over again. The idiot is going to get himself killed, Madeline, Madeline snapped. She swooped in to try and retrieve him, but Ignis had already brought his clawed hand up to swing away at Ichiro. He caught Madeline instead, and Annie leapt off to gain some distance from him. Zane was thrown through the air, spinning about wildly. By my power. He brought the sword down on Ignis's hand. Cut! Ignis's fingers split open. Illinois swerved them to the side, allowing American the opportunity to blast it open with his father's gun. Madeline quickly shifted her long, slippery body to escape his grip. Ha ha ha! Ignis intoned, sounding amused. Even in that form, I can split your body in half, Madeline. I'm not reading that. Not reading that. I'm beginning to think Armin has daddy issues or mommy issues. He has parental issues. Everything issues, yeah. Harman has Nintendo loyalty issues. So the American government did actually do something about Ignis. Yeah, I guess so. There's no creep, like power creep. Let's not talk about the other creep, aka Harman. Unfortunately, we have to until this is done, and I'm not happy about it. Excuse me. Oh my god, I want to barf. Annie caught Zane, and they both swerved out of the way of the fire that shot out of his mouth as he spoke. He hadn't even been trying to attack yet, and yet the flames overwhelmed them both. Annie wildly spun around, dispersing the flames with wind as Zane tried swiping them with the sword. Stay still, Annie snapped at him. And let you do the fighting, he retorted. Only I can cut him. But only I can fly. Stay still and strike when I say you can strike. Ignis turned his gaze down to them. A little witch and a little boy playing at samurai, he said. I'm more of a samurai than him, Ichiro cried, and leapt down onto Ignis's cheek, sliding downward, gripping his skin with his free hand. His other hand held Yamato, and he swung it with all of his might into Ignis's eye. The blow bounced off. Ignis blinked, catching the kanabo in his eyelid. Ichiro was ripped off from the side of the demon and dangled in midair, his feet kicking furiously, as Ignis opened his eyelid. He began to fall. Ah! Here I go, Illinois said, Soil ready to her katana as they swept down to catch them. Ignis again tried to catch them, but Soil slashed wildly in front of her. American, in 6 furious blasts, caught the wounds with bullets, destroying his entire hand. Illinois caught Ichiro in her mouth and darted away. Husband and wife, Ignis sneered as they darted out of range. Illinois whirled around and handed Ichiro to American. Marriage is a lie, love is a joke. Both of you will grow to despise each other and long for the flesh of younger, more beautiful partners. Harman, you're gay! Harman, you're so gay! Soil and American looked at each other. That isn't going to happen, American said. Yes, Soil said quietly. You're the one I want to father my children. Now's not the time for that, Ichiro snapped, waving Yamato over his head. Go back, back! Silence, Illinois snapped. She was narrowly avoiding blasts of fire from Ignis's eyes. Do not think to command me, child. His hand isn't recovering, Madeline murmured. Whatever American is doing is working. His father died to protect him, Diablo said. It's love, the thing Ignis hates most in the world. Gay! I don't care if I'm peeking the mic. It's becoming worse and worse. It's becoming worse and worse. I hate it. I hate it so much. Ignis glowered. I see, Madeline said. The thought of doing anything for another person goes against all of Ignis's values. American glowered. The gun was glowing with a brilliant light in his hand. I've waited for this moment for a long time, American said. The day I strike you down where you stand. Ignis threw his head back and laughed. He raised his injured hand, an intense burst of flame shot out from the stump, and then fell apart. In its place was an entirely new hand. No, Solia whispered. He could regenerate? We simply have to damage his body beyond repair, American said firmly. We mustn't be intimidated. We only have to incapacitate him enough to send him back, Ilme said. That isn't good enough. I want to kill it. It can't be done, Ilme said sharply. Watch him actually do it. Solia placed a free hand on American's shoulder and steadied it. I know how you feel, Solia said quietly. Truly, I do. But do not think that destroying Ignis will fill the void in your heart. If we can do it, we will. But we must accept the possibility that banishing him is a more practical solution. American took in a deep breath. His eyes, that had briefly turned into a deep bright red, slowly shifted back to green. Yes, he said slowly. You're right, Solio. Madeline swooped down and Annie grabbed onto her head, pulling Zane along with her. They settled back onto her head as she shot away. Ignis was still distracted with Diablo. Why do you side with the humans? Ignis sneered. A man of your strength could rule this earth and be overthrown and destroyed like all the others who have tried, Diablo asked. No, I think not. Better to live among them and grow ever stronger. Stronger, Ignis asked. What use is strength if you don't use it? Ugh. That's so bad. He swung his arm at Diablo again, trying to swipe him out of the air. I do use my strength. For good. Oh, God. Gag me with a spoon. Diablo swerved around the swipe and shot upward. He reached Ignis's nostril and drove inside. The demon breathed out, and an intense wave of fire shot forward as Diablo climbed up his nose. Pause. My nose is getting... Speaking of nose, mine's getting frickin' stuffed. Ah, so much better. Fire shot out all around him, trying to overwhelm him, but Diablo gritted his teeth, his sword clenched in it, as he climbed upward. Ugh! Ignis shuddered, bright blue light emanating from the nostril. He raised his clawed hand to his face and jammed his finger in the side of his own nose, ripping it off. Diablo was nowhere to be seen. He's inside the body, they said. American, if he lives, expect... Deep gashes began to appear on the inside of Ignis's head. Ignis howled and held his head in his hands. Now, Madeline called. Eloy swooped down. American fired off 6 shots, nailing each and every one of them, causing huge holes to appear in Ignis's head. Soliel and Zane raised their swords and slashed at the front of his neck. Soliel's blade cut half an inch deeper than Zane's. What a woman, Zane breathed. God, shut up, Harman. As they shot off in opposite directions. Take your dick off the floor and get ready for the next go-around, Annie shouted at him. I'm rolling my eyes so hard right now. The sky serpents whirled around and Americans reloaded the gun. So I think if I can get the head cut off completely, I'll be able to blow it into bits. American said, Can you cut it? If Zane and I can coordinate perfectly, yes, Soliel said. She bent her leg and readied the katana. Do you think me an amateur? Zane asked as he copied the movement. Is this you trying to flirt? Annie complained as she swerved around for the second raid. She's married. Illinois and Madeline dived down in perfect synchronicity and crossed each other right by Ignis's neck. Ha! Soliel struck first, and hard. She barely had time to think that it was odd that Zane didn't match her strike. But he soon followed with a second strike, one that perfectly overlapped with their own. Amazing! Annie gasped as Ignis's head slid off. It was still glowing in bright blue. Diablo was still tearing it apart from the inside. American raised his gun and fired. Bang! The head exploded. Bang! The head exploded. Bang! Then the head exploded. Bang, bang, bang! I'm rolling my eyes so hard right now. Got the writing of a 2-year-old. The head burst into tiny little bits. Diablo ended up falling out of the remains in midair. He wheeled around in the air for a moment before taking off. We did it, Annie crowed. We won. No, Illinois said quietly. That is not enough to kill a demon. The remains of the head turned to face them. Humanity thinks they can destroy the gods, it snarled. Behold, you keep saying that. God! It's so cliche. It's so corny. And not in the good way. The remains of the body began to shoot up into the sky. The bones and flesh of the lower half began to fold and twist among itself into a large ball. The head exploded into fire and sinew and shot up towards it like a comet. What was now flying above them was the second sun, flying high above their heads. No, Illinois moaned. We're too late. What is it? He's transforming, Illinois explained, her voice grim. All the damage we've just done was for naught. In this state, he is completely impenetrable. Pew! A star beam shot from the distance and slammed into the great sun. It connected with the surface and disappeared. Like our own sun, he cannot be destroyed in that form, Illinois said quietly. But neither of us can neither can he attack us. He is sacrificing all of his limitless power for an impenetrable defense. A sun, Solio whispered. Illinois, when the real sun comes out, it will throw the world into chaos. Life on this planet can't handle two suns at once. The sun of Ignis pulsed. It seemed to grow larger and more intense. It is not a true sun, but it will continue to grow in power and size as long as the Ignis remains in that form. Or as Ignis remains in that form, Illinois said. Unfortunately, I can't think of a reason he would come out of it. The sun pulsed again. American felt a bead of sweat run down his face. Diablo came up to meet them. He transformed into his human form and stepped lightly on Illinois' head. American, he said, that is no true sun. It is comprised of Ignis energy. A being of his own power would be able to enter it. Ichiro glanced at American. Makes sense, he drawled. But who would turn against his own kind? American twisted his lips. American, you haven't yet mastered your true form, Illinois said. Embracing that side of yourself would allow you to enter the sun. But there's a possibility you will never again be fully human. Solio stepped forward. She reached for American's hand and squeezed it tightly. She did not speak. I don't care what happens to me, American said. The important thing is that I bust that thing open. Illinois turned her head around to face him. Very well, she said, her voice heavy. I suppose you always knew things might come to this. That is what we have been preparing for, after all. She seemed somehow despondent. Oh, American. American closed his eyes. There was a deep well of power inside of him that he had never unleashed before. It simply needed to be released. To embrace this power, Illinois continued, her voice a soft whisper. You must feel hate. An intense wave of heat washed over them. The sun of Ignis was burning even ever brighter. You must embrace your hatred and use it as a weapon. Are you doing Star Wars now? Are you doing Star Wars references now? God, I want to use slurs so bad, but I'm a better person than that. I will not succumb to your level. Harman. She said, you must eliminate your natural urge to suppress your rage. You are not human, and you never have been. You are nothing but a monster who will do whatever it takes to win. American gritted his teeth. Little fangs had begun to protrude from his mouth. Remember, Illinois continued, remember how they took everything from you. Remember how they must be destroyed. American could feel the skin of it on his body toughening up. The hand that was still clenched around Soliel's grew harder, darker, and what? I don't know what that means. Soliel frowned, tightening her grip. But do not, Soliel whispered. Forget who you are. American opened his blood-red eyes. Great skeletal wings shot from his back, and he leapt upwards into the sky. He slammed into the sun with force and entered the sphere. There was silence from those below. Did he die? Annie asked, a touch worried. The sun exploded into little sparks. Illinois and Madeline quickly darted out of the way, taking their passengers with them, as American stood aloft in midair, grappling with the human-sized creature. This is it, Illinois called. We have weakened it. It's time to send it back from whence it came. To the depths of hell, Madeline agreed. The twin sky serpents shot forward, surrounding the two identical creatures. Which one is American? Soliel narrowed her eyes. That one, she said. The one she had indicated took a huge hit in the face, shattering its nose. It growled, baring its teeth, and struck back. Are you sure? Illinois said, doubtful. I'm his wife, Soliel said. I know. Illinois swooped in, Soliel readied her blade. She was about to attack the enemy, only for Ichiro to beat her to it. Blood and thunder! No! Annie screamed, and Ichiro leapt forward, swinging Yamato over his head. The demon turned to look at him. It thrust its long claw into Ichiro's throat, but he dodged and slashed Yamato across his head. It smashed into his skull. It was slammed downward, but American dashed under it, catching it in another vicious punch. Annie leapt from Madeline and caught Ichiro in midair. You can't keep doing this, she berated him as she tried to swerve upward. Ignis opened his mouth, and an intense blast of fire erupted from it. Annie instinctively threw herself in front of Ichiro, blocking the brunt of the fire. Her clothes burnt away to a crisp. Her skin became a deep, horrible black. She began to fall, taking Ichiro with her. Idiot! Ichiro snapped, as he grabbed a hold of her still body and whirled around, so that his body was below hers to break her fall. They slammed deck into the castle with a thud, breaking through the ceiling and several floors before coming to a stop. Ichiro's first instinct was to race back into battle. He grabbed Yamato and sat up. He glanced to his side at Annie's body lying limp to the side. She let out a groan and then shifted to the side. He hesitated for a moment and then dropped Yamato. He walked over to Annie and then bent over her. Come on, he said, as he picked her up gently. You need to see Poppy. He turned his back on the fight and trotted down the stairs back to the encampment. Oh, a character arc! Look at that! The sky serpents were still swerving in circles above. Zane and Soliel sat on the heads of the beasts, swords held aloft as Diablo and American faced down Ignis. You hate me, do you? Ignis crowed. You would use your own power against me. American glared at him. He did not speak. He was so consumed by his own rage, he could do nothing more than focus on destroying his enemy. Eloy swerved towards Ignis, and Soliel swung the katana. Ignis whirled on them, punching at Soliel. She took the hit, soaring into the sky. Soaring straight into the sky. American's expression became shockingly human. Soliel, American! Diablo snapped as Eloy whirled back around to catch Soliel out of the sky. Focus on the enemy. Madeline soon followed suit with her own attack. Ignis grabbed hold of her head. When this is over, Madeline, I will... Not reading that. On top of the bodies of your friends. Not reading that. Zane stepped forward and slashed at Ignis's head. He lunged forward and bit it, snapping the katana in two. Zane pulled back, shocked, as Ignis opened his mouth and blasted him with more hellish flames. Ah! Zane threw himself off Madeline to get away from him. He then slammed into the spire at the top of the castle, rolled down, and fell to the ground. He did not move. Madeline tried breaking free Ignis's grip. He held her tightly in his arms. American and Diablo moved forward on either side of him. He grimaced, and then quickly raised his hand. He brought it down on Madeline's head. She fell limp, her body slumping. He released her, and she fell. American and Diablo lunged for him, but Ignis simply stood there, blocking both of their attacks with ease. He spun around in midair, and American was thrown some distance away. Diablo clung onto him, growling as Ignis smiled at him. You aren't half the man your father was. Ignis rapidly began to punch Diablo. Blow after blow impacted his heavily armored frame, and it soon began to crack and break under the strain. Finally, it shattered. Diablo fell from the sky, unable to sustain his demon form, and now, Ignis glanced upwards at Soliel and Elenway. I destroy you. He shot upwards towards them. Elenway tried to get away, but now that she was no longer surrounded by the enemy, Ignis could focus all his energy on raw speed. He easily caught her up with her, and quickly wrapped his hands around her neck. Rah! American leapt forward, catching him in a vicious uppercut. Ignis reeled back. Soliel leapt forward, on top of Elenway's head, and then American's. She slashed at his head, cutting straight through it. You! Ignis growled. She cut already healing to reattach the top of his head to the rest of him. I don't know who you are, girl, but rest assured that once I am through with Madeline, you'll be next. Stay away from my wife! American lunged for him, wrapping his arms completely around him. Ignis struggled as Soliel leapt into the air and plunged back down, stabbing the katana straight through Ignis's head. Rah! He broke free of American's grip and grabbed Soliel's leg, and then threw her through the air. She cried out as she flew through the air like a missile. Like a bullet, Elenway took off after her. American lunged for Ignis, trying to overpower him. Ignis laughed as he easily countered all of his moves. Is this all the power you possess? He asked idly. You really like that word again. American attacked him again, and Ignis simply counterpunched, sending him reeling. You haven't harnessed a fraction of my power, Ignis said derisively. I cannot believe one such as you came so far to face me in battle. He raised both of his fists and struck out at American over and over again. American cried out as, much like Diablo before him, his heavily armored form began to break and shatter under the blows. What kind of power level spike are you going to have now? American tried to defend himself and even strike back, but to no avail. Ignis completely overpowered him. Rah! I'm a dragon! American made one last final attack, only for Ignis to smash his fist against his head. American shot through the air and slandered the castle wall, and Ignis raised his mouth and blasted a beam of fire at him. American screamed as the flame engulfed him completely. He lay against the wall for a split second and then fell face first onto the roof below. Ha ha ha, Ignis cried. Your powers are nothing before. Pew! The third beam shot out from the distance. Ignis whirled, holding out his hand. He caught the beam of light in his hand, crumbling it into a ball, and threw it back. It soared several miles before exploding. You're next, Americana, he cried. This is only the beginning. Elenway and Soliel landed next to American's body. Soliel leapt off of Elenway's back and cupped American's head in her hands. I'm sorry, Elenway said quietly. We failed. No, Soliel said softly. He lives, see? American let out a gasp of breath. Daughter of Ilia. Elenway said, her voice heavy. We must flee this place, please. Fight, American rasped. Soliel grasped his hand. Fight. 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 Yes, Soleil said quietly, we will. Her gaze hardened. Yes, I'm almost done. I'm assuming Ichiro is a reference to Isidro from Berserk. Or Ichigo from Bleach. But I don't know. Yes, I'm very close. I'm very close. I'm less than like 30 pages away. American, she said softly. Isabel sacrificed herself to save us. She thought it would help us lead to a bright future, and you've done the same. American stared at her through glazed eyes. Listen to me, Soleil said. Use everything I give you. Possess me, as Ignis possessed Cordelia. With our combined strength, we will end Ignis once and for all. What? Elamway exploded. Soleil, that's insane. As he is now, your soul will devour his. I will allow him to possess me, Soleil said quietly. I have no reservation about this. I have seen what others have sacrificed in this endeavor. It is now time for me to do the same. Soleil American rasped. Soleil clutched his hand. Hear me, son of Ignis, Soleil said. I offer you my flesh and blood. Use my body to destroy Ignis in the name of the Lord. Gay. American caught fire. The embers from his burning flesh rose upward and entered Soleil's nostrils. She stood there, her eyes closed, and inhaled. More and more of his essence entered her body. Gross. Gross. She turned around to face Eloise and opened her eyes. They were blood red. Windsor Eloise, the voice that came out of the mouth was both Soleil and American. Will you fight with us to the last breath? Eloise smiled. Indeed, she said. American, Soleil, you're both incredible people. In spite of everything that's happened to you, you've never lost heart. I admire you. Yay! She raised her hand and American's gun leapt up into it. She leaned forward and strapped it to Soleil's waist. Ignis turned down to look at them. What is this? He crowed, as Soleil jumped on top of Eloise's head. The woman coming back for another round, he grinned. I hope you are half as eager in bit. Soleil leapt upward, shot up faster than Eloise could move, and caught Ignis in the face with a vicious uppercut. What? Eloise shot up after them and caught Soleil, quickly circling out of the way. Ignis whirled around, rubbed his chin wildly. This power, he said. How have you become so strong? Soleil held out her fist. Ignis bared his teeth at Eloise as Eloise came in for another attack. Ignis tried attacking the serpent, but Soleil stepped forward and punched him again. Ah! The angle sent him flying downward through the castle. He slammed into it, but stood up immediately, unhurt. Soleil leapt from Eloise and shot down towards him. Bursts of fire shooting from her to propel her forward. The Ignis fire fist? He demanded. How? The punch connected squarely with his face, sending him into the castle proper. He tried steadying himself and preparing for the next round, but before he could even get his bearings, Soleil punched him again, sending him down through another floor. Rah! He raised his arms and tried to block the next assault, Soleil easily slipping through his guard and punching him again. They crashed yet another floor. You don't intend to. He was knocked through another floor. Keep us up forever, do you? He was hit through another floor. They were in the dungeons now, surrounded by fire and lava. Ignis was in his element. The lava shot out from the pools and towards his assailant. The attack connected, but it did no damage. Soleil kept moving forward and hit him again. There were no floors to burst through. He lay there, against the earth itself, staring up at his enemy. Strike me as you will, child, but I cannot be destroyed, he snarled. Soleil hit him again. The earth did not give way. It simply took the blow, his armor shattering. It reformed almost immediately. I cannot be killed, he said. I am invincible. Soleil hit him again. To think that a human would use my powers against me, she hit him again. It is unthinkable. He opened his mouth and tried to blast her with his fire. Soleil took the blast, but the flames intensified. She found herself being pushed back by the force of it, even if the flames did nothing to harm her. She reached for American's gun and fired into the open gaping mouth. Ignis' head exploded in a volcanic eruption. Lava burst from his head as if it was a volcano. As if it were a volcano is what it's supposed to be. Duh. Soleil leapt back, getting some distance away from him before she looked down at him. The remains of the demon lay there in the earth, still and unmoving. It was dead. Lava was pouring in around them. Without any more consideration, Soleil flew upwards, leaving this body behind. Soleil. The flames at her feet sputtered out, and she fell. Eloise swooped down and caught her in midair. She rose high in the air above the clouds. Soleil collapsed. She let out a pained cough. It's over, Eloise told her. It's over, American. Come back to us. It's okay. Soleil coughed. Sparks shot out of her mouth. The sparks became a flame, and the flame became a human being. American lay there completely unconscious. Soleil gave him a small smile and then reached for his head. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him closer. They both passed out. Eloise ensured that they were secured on her back and flew higher. She was alone. Kill them now. The voice of her master Windsor spoke through the winds. I cannot, Illinois said quietly. Do not be coy with me, Illinois. The voice said, this man and wife destroyed an archfiend. They are too dangerous to be left alive. In a generation, their children will turn their wraths on us. We are Noctis, Illinois said, her voice firm. They are not our enemy. There was a very heavy silence. I fear you have doomed us all. Illinois did not reply. The sun, the real sun, was beginning to peek out over the horizon. It was a new day. God, we're almost done. Fucking hell. 22 pages remaining. I wanna die. I wanna die. It had been a couple of weeks since the fall of Ignis. Without the High Witches preventing resistance to their particular brand of degeneracy, it did not take long for nature to run its course. Those who tried to continue the old ways were quickly stomped into the ground, and it was not long before Ichiro and Poppy walked the streets of the city in shock of what they were seeing. It's normal, Poppy breathed. They're scared, Ichiro said quietly, of what will happen if it's not. He held out Yamato in front of him and stared at it. Poppy nodded sagely. Yeah, she said. But if given the opportunity, they would do it all again in a heartbeat. She sounded disgusted with the thought. Yeah, almost done, Radar. Fuck. My head hurts. I'm so glad that I get to play games again. Honestly, I hate them more than I hated the Ignis. Yeah, well, we won, so what they do now doesn't really matter. I suppose, Poppy said it airily. I'm glad you're not like them, Ichiro. None of us were, he said briskly. You mean briskly? That's an I, not a you, dumbass. Poppy felt her heart melt. He was so cool. She was so happy that she felt like she could fly. Being in love was so... It's you! They stopped. Ichiro blinked as the girl marched up to them, her fists clenched. Yuri? Ew! Ichiro said, sounding bored. Poppy recognized her now, up close. She was one of the lesbians at school. Oh my god, shut up! You literally called a lesbian Yuri! Oh my god, this man is retarded. Oh my god, this man is full-blown retarded. Oh my god. Fucking... You're just fucking gross. It wasn't a particularly good... Yuri, Poppy repeated as Yuri reached them, raised a small fist, and punched at Ichiro. It wasn't a particularly good punch. Ichiro simply stood there and took it. He didn't decide to defend himself. It was Poppy who had to try and stop her. Hey, hands off my boyfriend. The girl cast her an irritated glance. Your boyfriend, she repeated. Until he got me pregnant, he was mine. I thought she was a lesbian, asshole. How does that work? How does that work? Poppy gave a start. What? She glanced back at Ichiro. See, you're even mad that the lesbians don't want you, so you have to play this stupid fanfic game. So that you feel like something is coming out of it. Fuck's sake, Harman, just wrap this shit up already. I know. It's 20 pages. 20 pages. She was annoying me, so I dumped her. I was telling you that I was pregnant, Yuri stressed. Poppy's head was spinning. But I thought you were gay. I had both of them, Poppy, Ichiro said. Huh? Poppy felt a strong surge of confusion. Nothing she had ever been told about boys had ever prepared for this. But, well, I suppose what you did before our relationship is none of my business. You were already together when he did it. Yuri snapped at her. Poppy couldn't handle it anymore. She raised an arm to her face and turned around. Wah! She ran off crying hysterically. How could you treat her like that? Yuri demanded. Me? You're the one who told her. She brushed her hair behind her head with her hand and considered him. Well, consider yourself dumb, she said. Now you need to take some responsibility for what you did to me. Ichiro took a step back. Oh, no, you don't. He turned and ran. Just like you, a fucking coward, Harman. Yuri chased after him at a brisk pace, yelling obscenities at him. Thank you for the 5, General McLovin. How is this even ranked? The 2.6 millionth book on Amazon is beyond me. Yeah, I don't know either. I'm beyond confused. Windsor Ellenway was watching all of this from her perch on top of a nearby building. I tried to warn her, she said. She sighed before taking off into the sky to comfort Poppy. Annie let out a yawn as she raised her head. Oh, it's you, she said brightly as American approached her. You're getting around on your own now. Yeah, no need for the wheelchair, American said. How are you holding up? Her smile faded a little better, she admitted. Oakley's gone. And I miss him a lot. But he lived a good life. And what's more, she beckoned him forward. She had built a little outdoor shelter where a golden retriever lay feeding her puppies. Hey, leave their puppies! I'm disappointed that he didn't live to see them be born, she said, but I'll do my best to take good care of them. American leaned forward and picked one up. He examined it carefully. Which one is going to be your next familiar? Her smile faded. I'm not sure I want another one, she told him. Losing your other half, it hurts. There's a reason plenty of witches don't bother with it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... She shook her head, smiling. No, you're right. I have to move on for my sake and for his children. She poked the puppy in his finger. I think I'm going to raise them to hunt down the local wildlife. The Ignis fucked a lot of local animals, so there's a lot of half-breeds. Oh my god, there's bestiality too! Oh, smite him down. Smite this motherfucker. Can everybody, can somebody write down every single kink that he's put into this thing? Because it's very telling about what Harman's into. We're going to have to purge them if the local ecosystem is going to recover. You would be really good at that. Annie looked up at him with blinked. You think so? Sure. He handed the puppy back to her. She pressed it against her chest, and it nuzzled her affectionately. You know the land better than anyone I know. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be you. Annie felt her heart skip a beat. Ilme was right. Spending time with American Freeman was bad for her heart. American next found Nora Jameson waiting in a clearing in the forest. You haven't been eating, American noticed. You can tell, Nora sighed. No, I was told, American said. Ripley mentioned it to me. She's worried about you, you know. Oh, Nora said. Yeah. She's been very kind to me. She seemed to struggle for a bit. Humans are nice, aren't they? Some would say that witches aren't human. Oh, you know what I mean, Nora said. Father, he hated witches, and yet he died fighting alongside them. What will you do now? Return to Indianapolis, I suppose, Nora said. I never liked the idea of returning to Africa. American said nothing. It was my father's dream, but I never thought it was realistic, she said. And I suppose you didn't think so either. In the end, he chose to give his life for Indiana. God, this is so gay. He hated humans, American said, but in the end, he still chose to fight and die for us. He didn't hate you, Nora said. He told me that he saw more of himself in you than he did of the elephants in the zoo. She looked forlornly at the grave. I know elephants aren't native to Indiana, she said, but I would like to settle down here once I have children. You'll be more than welcome, American said quietly, but I think your father's dreams should live on. It is a terrible thing to be driven from one's home. I should know. She stared at him and then nodded, her expression set. I can only hope my sons turn out to be half the warrior that my father was, she said. But at the very least, I know that they will have good friends in you. Gay. She walked away from the grave. American cast a glance at it and then to the side. Sitting unattended by itself was a second, smaller grave. It looked rather lonely. Thank you, Jillian, American said quietly. We couldn't have done it without you. Soliel stepped lightly into the wooden shelter. Alyssa Coughlin stood up. She had been hard at work on her latest project, a statue commemorating the life and accomplishments of Celia Rosenbaum. Her left arm had become nothing but a stump, so she had been working with nothing but her right. Hey, she said softly, how are you feeling? No demonic possessions or... No demon has been inside me other than my husband, Solia said. Oh! Well, at least they fucked. Cringe. That's good, Elisa said relieved. Cordelia is struggling a bit. We have to restrain her whenever she falls asleep, but she keeps having fits. Ignis has left an imprint on her. Elisa bit her lip and nodded. We're going to take her back to Del Drago and have an exorcist look at her, she said. We got one coming from Indy, but he's not. Is she a Catholic girl? An older man with glasses and silver hair stepped up to them. He was dressed in a dark black robe and wore the mark of the cross on his chest. Father, at least he stepped forward towards her and glared intently at Soliel. I've heard much about you, he said, and all that you've done. Soliel silently stared back. It isn't often that a Catholic is willing to fight, the man said. Perhaps you have been possessed before. Father, Lisa said, shocked. Never, Soliel said firmly. The man stared at her and then nodded. I must ask you to come in for a confession, he said. I understand that you've shown no signs of possession, but have you been feeling sick at all? A little, Soliel said, but it has nothing to do with the possession. I doubt it, the man said briskly. His scream filled the air. Oh, not again, the man said exasperatedly, whatever, as he turned back to the side of the room and shut the door. She does that whenever she relapses, Elisa said quietly. It happens pretty regularly if she isn't attended. Soliel glanced upward at the stone statue. This is lovely. Thank you, Elisa said, as she stepped up beside her. I'm not an artist, but at least it's easy enough for me to mold stone. I based the look of the statue off of an old photo Zachariah had. She would have liked that, Silio said quietly. She always felt like a woman out of time. Alyssa smiled and took her hand. You were a good friend to her, she said warmly. I hope you can be there for Cordelia as well. Of course, Celia said quietly. You don't even have to ask. Her eyes flitted to Alyssa's other arm. Nothing but a stump remained. I know, we already know this. God damn it, you don't have to repeat yourself. This will be my last time in the field, I think, Alyssa said quietly. There's a guy back home who's been asking for my hand, and I, should say yes while I still have one to give. Celia stared down at it and then back at her. I hope you will continue to serve, she said quietly. Your weapons, they saved a lot of lives. Alyssa smiled. Once I get my prosthetic installed, I'll get right back to it, she said. I'll be making things until I die. The door to the side room opened. Celia glanced towards it, half expecting to see the exorcist again. Instead, it was Cordelia. Oh, she stepped forward, open-mouthed, and stared up at the statue. The exorcist trotted behind her. I just finished it, Alyssa said. It's lovely, Cordelia said, collecting herself. Thank you. She rubbed her eyes with her arm. Celia noticed they looked red and strained. She looked just like you, Celia said. Cordelia looked at her, as if noticing her for the first time. Oh, you're that Catholic woman, she said. You're the reason. She shook her head. You're one of the reasons the order won. Yes, Celia said quietly. I'm sorry that your aunt was killed. She was a dear friend. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Are we doing this? Cordelia smiled at her sadly. I wish I knew her, she said regrettably. Sounds like, no, she was an amazing woman. I owe everything to her, and you, of course. Lisa smiled at her widely. We can sit and talk about her if you like, Soliel said. I too wish I had a chance to know her better. Mrs. Friedman, the exorcist said quietly. I've been speaking with my superiors in the church, and they have suggested to me that Cordelia's unique situation, that she has far more ties to the city than to her faith. She would be best suited in living here amongst you. I trust that it will be agreeable. Well, of course, Celia said. Assuming she has no other relations to take her. She has none, the exorcist says primly. And our faith dictates that you cannot simply convert to our religion. You have to serve. Considering her situation, it is for the best she serve in a non-combat role. Ignis still lives on in me, Cordelia said quietly. I can still feel him there, pushing me to do evil things. And if I am to destroy him, I must commit myself to the Order of the Dragon any way I can. It's very noble of you, Soliel said. American and I will support you, and I know that the Order will do everything in its power to free you from the Ignis's lingering influence. The exorcist bent his head towards her. Cordelia stepped towards her, and then wrapped her arms around her in a tight hug. Thank you, she said quietly. Thank you so much. Soliel awkwardly stood there. She stared up at the statue of Celia Rosenbaum, wishing desperately that it was her standing here in her place. You know, she said slowly, we never did give this church a proper name. Cordelia pulled away from her. She was sniffling a little. We should name it after Celia, to honor her memory and her sacrifice. She turned to the dragon priest, if that is acceptable. For the first time, the priest smiled at her. More than acceptable, he said, if Cordelia wishes it. Cordelia broke into tears, nodding furiously. Celia had to bring herself to hug her to get her to calm down even a little bit. Madeline oh, there she is. Madeline shut the suitcase with a snap. You're leaving? Ripley asked. Yes. You're not abandoning us, are you? Madeline smiled at her. No, of course not, she said warmly. But my work here is done. I'm needed elsewhere. Ripley nodded. You're a good girl, Madeline said. It'll be up to you to shape the city to suit our purposes. Remember, everything we do is to serve the master. I understand, Ripley said quietly, but, who will teach me ballet? That's a good question, Madeline hummed. I'm sure Elway will arrange for a new teacher for you. I promised Marley that you would teach us ballet together, Madeline laughed. I don't think her mother would allow it, unfortunately, she said. And besides, I doubt Marlene has the temperament for it. I think differently, Ripley said. She's becoming a fine young lady. Yes, but not one that is suited to joining our coven, Madeline said. Do not think that being her friend means that you should push her to become a witch. It isn't fair to ask such a thing of her. I understand, Ripley said quietly. The door opened. Illinois stepped through. Hello, Madeline, Illinois said brightly. Are you really leaving today? The girls at the shelter are planning a banquet, you know. I'm well aware, but I have been away from my family for far too long. Madeline said primly, I dare say my husband is getting rather bored of his other wife. I roll. Another kink. Add it on there. Yes, I imagine, Illinois said. I'm sorry to see you go. I had hoped that you would stay and help rebuild. I will return, of course, after I've spent some time with my family, Madeline said. Ripley mentioned having concern about our ballet training. Illinois said brightly. Why don't you take her with you? A little change of scenery would be good for her, and Poppy's training is nearly concluded anyway. I can't leave Marley, Ripley said. Illinois said, looking at her closely. Ripley, you're very mature for your age. God fucking damn it. Perhaps you can handle traveling there and back. Ripley's eyes shone. You think so? As long as you don't stray, Illinois said. Excellent, Ripley said. She slid off to the side of the bed. I need to go inform Marley, excuse me. She stepped out into the hall. She's going to grow into a fine witch, Illinois said happily. The first of many in the city, I think. I agree, Madeline said slowly. But you need to have words with her about her friendship with the Freeman girl. The last thing we need is to antagonize Solio Freeman. Illinois shuddered. I'm terrified of her, she said. After what I saw her do, I would hate to make her my enemy. She fingered her hair longingly. But I wouldn't mind living with her and her husband. Madeline rolled her eyes. Oh, do you? She said. He may consider taking me in as his second wife, Illinois said happily. Probably. I wouldn't count on it, Madeline said. Solio Freeman is not the sort of woman to tolerate that arrangement. You make it work. Yes, Madeline said, a little bit bitter. By staying away as often as I do. They didn't often speak of these things. The Windsor practice of sharing their husbands with other women was generally accepted as a necessity. But most relationships were considered tenuous at best and could end at any time. Madeline, Illinois said, I'm serious about this, you know. You've been married several times and I've outlived all of my husbands, Madeline said, her voice on edge. Listen to me, Illinois. Being in love is hard for us. We must serve the master first, just as the men we love must serve their human wives first. Do you understand? Marrying an American would be a risk for us, and for you. I dare say pursuing such a thing would destroy everything you've built over the past 50 years. So please promise me, find someone who isn't married to a woman who very likely could kill us all. Illinois pursed her lips. It can work, she said. I know it can. Then why hasn't he asked you? Madeline asked. Illinois, you're not being wise. Illinois deflated. I suppose, she said. I thought, now that it's all over. She shook her head. I'll try and control my feelings, she promised, more to herself than Madeline. But be sure to write. You hear? I want you to keep you updated on everything that's going on here. God, I'm fucking dying inside. Yeah, I've read way better fanfiction than this. But I've got 10 pages, 10 pages, 10 pages, 10 pages. Okay, come on. Ichiro Takamura walked into his home with a bang. Mother, I'm home. Immediately she was on him. You have fallen behind on your studies, my son. Yeah, because I was out fighting demons, Ichiro said darkly, as he set Yamato down on her spot next to the door. That's no excuse, she snapped. Do you think you could fight the Ignis forever? They're dead, Ichiro, dead. Because I keep killing them all. You need to have a real career first, and children, she snapped. You've forgotten, Ichiro, that we must continue our samurai lineage. Oh my god, you are insufferable. He closed his eyes, thinking deeply. He wondered how best to break the news that Yuri Love was pregnant with this kid. I remember. Then you must appreciate how important it is for to further your education. She snapped. Now, she turned behind her and reached for the katana on the mantelpiece. She kept it in her hands and held it out to him. If I had chosen to give this katana to you, perhaps you would have succeeded in destroying it yourself, she said stiffly. I suppose I made an error in judgment. You still have much to learn, but your ability as a warrior is undeniable. Your abilities? It is undeniable. God, you fucking suck. You do not have a grasp of the English language. Ichiro held out the katana and gingerly took it in his hands. That makes no sense. You don't have it in your hands yet, dumbass. This is a blade used by your ancestor, Kimura Takamura. Of course, she said stiffly. It was made for a woman, but you rather enjoy playing around with such things. Kimura, Ichiro whispered. Mother Takamura nodded. Yeah, she said softly. When she was felled in battle, she lay on death's door. She chose to sell herself to the Ignis in order to keep fighting. Of course, such a thing in samurai culture is shameful, so she was cast out and forced to live among the Ignis witches. We're descended from the Ignis? No, Takamura denied. Her children were already born when she ascended. She was watching Ichiro very closely. He gripped the weapon in his hand and tightly. I fought her, he said quietly, and I lost. You are no match for a true samurai, Takamura said. Kimura was a formidable foe even before she became a witch. What is more of concern to me is that you did not realize her true identity, even when you met her in battle. Perhaps if you had been paying attention to my lessons and stories, you would have come to this realization yourself. Ichiro closed his eyes. You must be vigilant, Takamura was saying to him. You must. Ichiro kneeled down in front of her. I will, mother, he said formally. I will not repeat these mistakes. God, I want this to be over. I just want this to be over. American gingerly stepped into the bedroom. Poppy glanced up at him cautiously. She doesn't want... Leave us, Poppy, American said heavily. Poppy apologized and quickly left them. Leave me, Persephone rasped. No, American said stubbornly as he stepped forward to the bed. I came to see you. Persephone turned her head. American had to stop himself from flinching. The entire right side of her face had been completely burned away. See me, she asked. After what happened? It was an accident, American said. I'll never be able to perform again, Persephone said. And I'll look like this forever. I'm sure there's something. She reached for the vase at her bedside and threw it at his head. He ducked as it hit the wall behind him and shattered. Nothing, she screeched at him. Nothing can be done. You'll learn to live with it, American shouted back. Easy for you to say, Persephone sneered. Your whole life is ahead of you. You have your whole life ahead of you. She reached forward and pulled the bed curtains back over her. Leave me be, she said. I never want to see you again. Do you hear me? American stood there for a while. Persephone, I'll be here for you no matter... Bang! American tilted his head to the side as a bullet whizzed harmlessly past it. Leave! She was crying as American turned around and walked out of the room. Solia was standing waiting for him. She was leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. She looked angry. I want my friends to talk to her, she said. She raised her fist. Thunder and lightning. American stared at her. She stared back. And then they broke into giggles. You probably should speak to her, American said as her hand fell on his arm. You've known her longer than me. I have, Solia said, her voice grave, as she took in his arm and led him down the stairs. But she needs to get over it. Plenty of our friends have suffered at the hands of the Ignis. Many lost their lives to act. So to act so selfishly at a time like this is appalling. She thinks we're only so merry because we haven't suffered, American said, but we have a lot. He trailed off, noticing the dark expression on Soliel's face. Yes, she said quietly. Celia, Jameson, Isabel. She swallowed at the last name. They gave their lives for us. American was watching her very closely. Isabel's death bothered you, didn't it? He asked. What happened? Soliel did not speak immediately. They stepped out into the first floor and into the room below. She lived a hard life, Soliel said quietly. She suffered more than many of us. A lesser person would have broken under the pressure and become a cold, bitter person. But she genuinely tried to do the right thing. She made the ultimate sacrifice for me. No one's ever done anything like that for me before. I felt like she deserved redemption. I would say she got it, American said quietly. As brief as it was, she got to enjoy freedom and your friendship. There was a reason she valued you so highly, Soliel. Only you thought to give her a chance. She really meant it when she told you that she wanted to change. Soliel nodded. She was about to speak again as they stepped out into the street. But before she could, they heard a car door slam. No, you idiot, Charlotte Harker was saying. You left my bag. It's already in the car, Goneril protested. No, that was my traveling case. I need the little red one. Go get it. Now! Goneril dejectedly walked away. Past them and into the building. Soliel and American approached her. You're leaving then? American asked. Unfortunately, Charlotte sniffed. I delayed long enough. My research has fallen far behind, and Goneril is starting to get the ideas about who she would prey on first. Now. No, we need to return to Grey Acadia today. She seemed far more irritable than usual. American had never seen her so ornery, but Soliel knew her well enough to guess at the problem. Whatever her research entailed, it was going badly. You want to at least stay for the banquet? American asked. It sounds tempting, really, but I really need to get back to work, and besides, if Goneril attends a banquet, she would take it as an invitation to start inviting girls into the back end. Goneril stepped back through the door, carrying Charlotte's red bag. Excellent, Charlotte said. Put it in the front, please. Goneril dutifully placed it in the trunk, and then stepped... That's not the front. That's not the front! And then stepped into the driver's seat. You're making her drive? Soliel asked, alarmed. I'm certainly not going to, Charlotte said. As I said, I have a lot of work to do. I tend to work all through the drive back. She took a step towards Soliel and held out her arms. Soliel didn't move as Charlotte wrapped her arms around her. It was good to see you again, she said quietly. I missed you. Come visit once things have settled down for you. She pulled away and turned to face American. Treat her well, she admonished him. If you don't, you'll have me to answer too. You won't have to worry about that, American said. In fact, why don't you come back for dinner sometime? I'd like to get to know you better. Charlotte blinked. She looked towards Soliel and nodded. Why? She said. I'm flattered. Thank you. That sounds lovely. Why is there punctuation there? She turned to the car door and opened it. She got inside and shut it behind her. She rolled the window down and glanced back at them. I think you two will have a very happy life together, she said. You have my blessing. Eye roll. She waved as Goneril took off down the street. They waved goodbye and turned to look at each other. She does nothing like you at all. She's not, Soliel agreed. But she's been there for me all my life, for better or for worse. She paused. It was she who was there for me the most when my mother became paralyzed, she admitted. She fell silent, looking embarrassed. I still haven't met your mother, American said gently. Or the rest of your family. Soil shook her head. They never wanted me to be a vampire hunter, she confessed. They thought I didn't have the talent for it. No talent? You? Soil smiled sheepishly. She tugged on his arm. I'm not so great, she confided in him. I'm bad at magic. I can never be like the domestic housewife. By the time our child is born, I imagine you'll be sick of me. What child? She blinked at him, and then her mouth fell open and wide. Oh no, I forgot to tell you. I'm pregnant. No fucking shit. America stared at her. You're going to be a father, Soleil said. Her cheeks were beginning to turn red, and turn a bright shade of red. Oh, no, I've blown it, haven't I? No, American said quickly as he took her hands. No, it's wonderful. Wow. Soleil smiled at him more widely and sincerely than she ever had before. She somehow looked much younger than she usually did, and far more radiant. I was trying to wait for the right moment, she said. So much has happened, I could hardly believe it myself. I thought that we could do a formal announcement at the banquet, and then I guess... She fell silent as American pulled her close and kissed her. Listen to me, he said, when he pulled away from her. I'm going to give you more kids than you can handle. All of them will grow up to be great vampire hunters like their mother. We're going to turn the city into a place where people like that can grow and thrive. This is bigger than me, or you, or Mars you. It's bigger than all of us. In that moment, she felt that she would never stop smiling. Oh my god! I'm free! I'm free! I'm free! Fuck no, do I want to read this shit. Fuck no, I'm done. I'm done. Should we read this part? Thank you for supporting American Evil. My name is Harman Smith, and I'm an independent creator that's a neo-Nazi, a pedophile, and has the worst kinks on the planet. And I want to fuck dogs. Allegedly. My goal is to create things that you would never see anywhere else, such as the novel you've finished. Yeah, it was terrible. Nobody would write that bad. Besides, like, a 2-year-old. And even a 2-year-old could probably write something better than you. Did you enjoy it? No. I hope you did. No, I didn't. You can find more content from me on my YouTube channel, Harman Smith. I know. I like making fun of you. I hope you will enjoy my next novel, Playing Dirty, as much as this one. I won't be reading that. No. No. Go fuck yourself. And we're done. And we're done. I'm done. I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna go hug my husband. I'm gonna go hug my dogs. And then I'm gonna die. Not literally. Internally die. We did it, though. Tomorrow I'll be back for gaming. No more of this shit, unless we meet goals. But I will have to deal with Harman on Saturday, because I have to react to his disgusting, fucking bad YouTube videos. Because I lost to Dez at bingo. Again. So, yeah, there's that. Anyways. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. Thanks for enduring this bullshit with me.